The screaming started at 2:47 p.m. Not normal screaming, not tantrum screaming. The kind of guttural, primal wailing that only comes when my 8-year-old daughter Lily's world completely collapses. I heard it from the parking lot as I returned from grabbing groceries, and I ran. I found her in the corner of our living room, arms wrapped around herself, rocking violently, hitting her head against the wall. Her teacher, Mrs. Martinez, was trying desperately to calm her. "Where's Max?" I dropped everything, scanning for the golden retriever who should have been pressed against Lily's side. "That's the problem," Mrs. Martinez said, tears in her eyes. "Your sister came during lunch. She said you sent her to pick up Max for a vet appointment. She had a key, knew the commands." I didn't think. My blood turned to ice. "Veronica took Max 40 minutes ago. Lily's been like this ever since." Max wasn't just a dog. He was Lily's lifeline. Trained for 2 years specifically for her autism, he could detect meltdowns before they happened, provide deep pressure therapy, block self-harming behaviors, and guide her out of overwhelming situations. Without Max, Lily couldn't function, couldn't go to school, couldn't sleep, couldn't exist in a world that felt like broken glass against her nervous system. I called Veronica immediately. She answered on the third ring, and I could hear traffic in the background. "Where is Max?" "Oh, hi, Melissa. Don't worry, he's going to a wonderful home." "Where is my dag cheers to service diogi?" "I sold him. This couple in Oregon pay $15,000. Can you believe it? $15,000 for a dog. That's enough for a full round of IVF. The room tilted. Behind me, Lily's screams intensified. She'd started hitting herself, and Mrs. Martinez was struggling to protect her. "You sold my autistic daughter's service dog." "He's just a dog, Melissa. You can get another one." "But my fertility won't last forever. I'm 36. Max is a mini-GCL device. He's specifically trained for Lily. She can't function without him." "She functioned before she had him." "No, she survived. There's a difference. Look, the buyers already have him. They're driving to Oregon now. It's done. My IVF appointment is next week. Finally, after 3 years of trying, I can afford it. That dog costs $40,000 to train. He's not a pet." "Exactly, which is why I got such a good price." I hung up and called 911. "My daughter's medical equipment has been stolen. She's having a severe autistic meltdown and injuring herself." The dispatcher could hear Lily's screams. Medical equipment. Her service dog. My sister stole and sold him. My daughter is autistic. The dog is legally medical equipment. We're sending units now. While waiting, I called my mother, praying she wasn't involved. "Oh, honey," she said immediately. "Veronica told me. I know you're upset, but she's desperate for a baby. You knew? She said she was going to ask you. She didn't ask. She stole him while Lily was at school." Dogs are replaceable, sweetie, but Veronica's chance at motherhood isn't. Max isn't replaceable. He knows 47 specific commands for Lily's needs. He's been with her since she was 5. He's the only reason she can attend school. "You're being dramatic. Lily will adjust." Behind me, Lily had bitten her own arm hard enough to draw blood. Mrs. Martinez was crying while trying to restrain her without making the meltdown worse. "Lily is hurting herself. She's bleeding because her medical support is gone. Veronica needs this. Lily needs her service dog. A dog is not more important than a human baby. Max isn't just a dog, and Veronica's hypothetical baby doesn't override Lily's actual disability." I hung up as the police arrived, followed closely by an ambulance. The paramedics had to sedate Lily. She'd given herself a concussion from headbanging and bitten through her lip. Officer Thompson took my statement while we followed the ambulance to the hospital. "Your sister sold a service dog. For IVF money." She knew exactly what Max meant to Lily. She's watched him work. She's seen what happens when he's not there. "Do you know who bought him?" "Some couple in Oregon. They're driving there now. We'll put out an alert. Trafficking in service animals is a federal crime. They had no idea what I would do next." While Lily was sedated in the hospital, I went to war. First, I posted in every service dog group online. "Steolaean service dog Max golden aritirai taken from Autistic child in CLF. Sold to couple heading to Oregon. Please share. I included photos of Max wearing his vest, his service dog registration, and video of him performing specific tasks for Lily, interrupting self-harm, providing pressure therapy during meltdowns, alerting to sensory overload. Within an hour, it had been shared thousands of times. Then I posted the full story on Facebook, including screenshots of Veronica's text admitting to selling him and my mother's messages supporting her. My sister stole my autistic daughter's service dog and sold him for IVF money. My daughter is now hospitalized from self-injury during the meltdown that followed. This is what happens when people think service dogs are just pets. The autism community exploded in rage. Parents who understood what losing a service dog meant. Adults with autism who knew the hell of losing their support. Trainers who knew how irreplaceable a specifically trained dog was. Someone found Veronica's Instagram. She'd posted a photo of herself at a fertility clinic with the caption, "Finally starting my journey to motherhood. Sometimes you have to make hard choices for your dreams." #IVF journey, #future mama. The comments destroyed her. You stole a disabled child's medical equipment. Hard choices. You mean stealing from your AITA. You want to be a mother but traumatize a child. Within 3 hours, Veronica had deleted all her social media. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots were everywhere. Then came the breakthrough. A truck driver in Northern California had seen the alert. He'd noticed a golden retriever at a rest stop wearing what looked like a service vest with an Oregon-plated SUV. The dog seemed distressed, he reported. Kept trying to leave with different people. The couple claimed he was their service dog, but he wasn't responding to them. Max was trained to find help if separated from Lily. He was trying to get back to her. State police intercepted the couple 2 hours from the Oregon border. They claimed they bought the dog legally, showing Venmo receipts to Veronica. But when officers asked them to demonstrate Max's service tasks, they couldn't. When they tried to show Max's registration, it was clearly fake. Real service dogs don't have registration in the U.S., something any legitimate handler would know. Max was recovered at 11 p.m., 8 hours after being stolen. But the damage was done. Lily had been sedated for hours. When she woke up, she was disoriented, terrified, still no Max. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink, wouldn't let anyone touch her. She'd retreat to corners, rocking, humming the same 3 notes over and over, her most severe distress signal. Dr. Kumar, her psychiatrist, was blunt. The trauma of losing her primary support could set her back years. We're looking at possible regression in speech, self-care, all the progress she's made. When the police brought Max back at midnight, I thought everything would be okay. But trauma doesn't work that way. Lily didn't trust that Max would stay. She grabbed his fur so tight he yelped, wouldn't let go even in sleep. She stopped going to the bathroom because that meant leaving Max. She stopped eating unless Max ate from the same plate first, proving he was real. The regression Dr. Kumar predicted happened fast. Lily stopped using her AAC device to communicate, stopped tolerating clothing, stopped sleeping in her bed, only on the floor with Max. Meanwhile, Veronica was arrested. The charges were severe. Theft of medical equipment valued over $40,000, interstate trafficking of a service animal, conspiracy to commit fraud, and felony animal abuse. Max had injuries from being forcibly dragged from the house. But she wasn't remorseful. From jail, she called my mother, who then called me. Veronica says if you drop the charges, she'll use the IVF money for Max's replacement. Max can't be replaced. He's not a broken toaster. She was desperate. She traumatized a disabled child. You're traumatizing her by pressing charges. She could go to prison. Good. How can you be so cruel? She wants to be a mother. Someone who steals from disabled children shouldn't be a mother. That's horrible. What's horrible is selling an autistic child's service dog. What's horrible is Lily drinking from Max's water bowl because she's so terrified of losing him again that she won't leave his side. She's being dramatic. She's AITA. Her world operates on routine and trust, and Veronica shattered both. The story went national. Woman sells autistic niece's service dog for IVF money made headlines. The fertility clinic Veronica had paid called, horrified, offering to refund everything. They wanted nothing to do with this publicity. The service dog community rallied. Trainers offered free refresher courses for Max. Therapists specializing in autism trauma volunteered their time. A GoFundMe for Lily's medical bills raised $80,000 in 48 hours. But Veronica doubled down. She gave an interview to a local news station from jail, claiming she was the real victim. "I've been trying to have a baby for 3 years," she cried on camera. "Melissa has a healthy child. I have nothing. I just wanted to be a mother." The interviewer didn't let her off easy. "You stole a service dog from an autistic child. It's just a dog. They can get another one. It takes 2 years and $40,000 to train a service dog." Which is ridiculous. That money could help infertile couples. Are you saying infertility is more important than autism? I'm saying dogs shouldn't be worth more than human babies. The interview went viral for all the wrong reasons. #JustADog became a rallying cry for the disability community. Thousands shared stories of their service animals, the training, the bond, the literal life-saving work they did. My father, who'd been silent until now, finally called. "I saw the interview," he said quietly. "I didn't know. Your mother said Veronica was borrowing money. I didn't know about Max." "Would it have mattered?" He paused. "I want to say yes, but honestly, I probably would have said it's just a dog too. Until I saw Lily in that interview footage, the aftermath. Christ, Melissa. What have we done to that baby?" He was referring to the security footage from our house that had been released during the investigation. It showed Lily's complete breakdown when she realized Max was gone. 20 minutes of a child in absolute anguish, hitting herself, screaming, trying to claw her own skin off while Mrs. Martinez desperately tried to keep her safe. "You didn't do it, Dad. But Mom enabled it. She knew and supported it." "I'm divorcing her," he said simply. "Anyone who could watch that footage and still say it's just a dog isn't someone I can stay married to." The trial was brutal. The prosecution presented evidence of the extensive training Max had undergone, his specific tasks, the bond with Lily. They showed footage of Lily with and without Max. The difference was stark. They also presented Lily's medical records, the self-injuries from that one afternoon, the regression in speech and self-care, the new medications needed to manage her anxiety, the intensive therapy required. Veronica's defense tried to argue desperation, that infertility was a medical condition too. The prosecutor's response was devastating. Infertility is indeed a medical condition, but it doesn't give you the right to steal medical equipment from disabled children. If Ms. Harris needed a wheelchair for mobility, would the defendant's infertility justify stealing it? If she needed insulin for diabetes, would wanting a baby make theft acceptable? The jury deliberated for less than an hour. Guilty on all charges. Veronica got 4 years in federal prison. The interstate trafficking upgraded everything to federal crimes. At sentencing, she screamed at me, "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my only chance at motherhood." "No," I said calmly. "You destroyed it yourself when you decided your hypothetical child mattered more than my actual one." My mother tried one last manipulation. "When Veronica gets out, she'll be 40. Too old for IVF. You've stolen her chance at motherhood." She stole Lily's sense of safety. Lily still makes me check the locks 12 times before bed. She has a GPS tracker on Max now. She hasn't let him out of her sight in 6 months. She may never recover from this trauma. Dogs die eventually anyway. Get out of my house. I'm your mother. You're a woman who values her able-bodied daughter's wants over her disabled granddaughter's needs. That's not a mother. That's a monster. It's been 2 years. Lily has made some progress. She's back to using her AAC device, though not as much as before. She'll wear clothes again, though only specific textures. She sleeps in her bed now, but only with Max pressed against her and 3 locks on her door. Max is getting older. He's 10 now. We're training a successor service dog, slowly introducing him to Lily. The process is delicate. She needs to trust that getting a new dog doesn't mean losing Max. Veronica gets out next year. She's written letters about forgiveness, about understanding, about moving forward as a family. I wrote back once. "You wanted to be a mother so badly you traumatized a child. You wanted to create life so desperately you nearly destroyed one. You don't deserve forgiveness. You deserve exactly what you got. a prison cell, and a womb that will never carry children because someone who steals from disabled kids shouldn't raise any. She didn't write again. My father did follow through with the divorce. He's in therapy, working to understand how he enabled this toxic dynamic for so long. He's earned supervised visits with Lily, slowly rebuilding trust. My mother lives alone now, posting bitter Facebook rants about ungrateful children and how dogs have more rights than humans these days. Last week, Lily did something amazing. We were at the park, and a little boy asked about Max's vest. Instead of hiding, Lily used her AAC device to explain. Max helps me. He's not a pet. He's medical equipment. The boy's mother started to say, "Oh, he's just that." Not just, Lily interrupted, her first spoken words in months. Not just Ed Dioge. Max is mine. Max stays. She hasn't spoken since, but those 6 words were everything. They wanted me to choose between a dog and my sister's dreams. But it was never about a dog versus a baby. It was about a disabled child's needs versus an adult's wants. They had no idea what I would do next. Now everyone knows. Service dogs aren't pets. They're not replaceable. And anyone who says it's just a dog has never watched a child try to claw their own skin off because their world collapsed when that dog disappeared. Veronica wanted to be a mother. Instead, she became a cautionary tale about what happens when you value potential children over actual ones. And Max? He's still here, still working, still the bridge between Lily and a world that often feels too bright, too loud, too much. He's not just a dog. He never was.
I don't want your failure to curse my marriage. The words hung in the air like smoke from a house fire, and I swear I felt my soul leave my body for a solid 10 seconds. My sister Chiara stood there in her pristine white robe, sipping mimosas with her future mother-in-law Meredith, while I processed what had just happened. My name is Daphne, and 3 months ago, I thought I knew what rock bottom felt like. That was when I walked into my bedroom and found my husband Caleb with his secretary. Classic, right? Like something out of a bad movie, except the betrayal was real and the divorce papers were very, very expensive. But this was a new kind of low. Ciara, what are you saying exactly? I managed to keep my voice steady, even though my hands were shaking around my coffee cup. Meredith cleared her throat, her perfectly manicured fingers adjusting her pearl necklace. What we're saying, dear, is that having a recently divorced woman as maid of honor sends the wrong message. It's simply not auspicious. I looked around the bridal suite, taking in the chaos of tulle and tissue paper, the half-eaten pastries, the other bridesmaids suddenly finding their phones very interesting. This was supposed to be our final fitting, our last sister moment before Chiara's big day. Instead, it felt like an intervention. "You're demoting me," I said flatly. "I'm protecting my wedding." Ciara shot back, and there it was. The sister I'd been supporting through panic attacks about centerpieces and guest lists had just thrown me under the bus in front of a room full of people. Let me back up. When Caleb destroyed our marriage, Ciara was the first person I called. She held me while I ugly cried into her shoulder, brought me ice cream at 2 a.m., and promised we'd get through this together. When she got engaged 6 weeks later, I was genuinely happy for her. When she asked me to be her maid of honor, I said yes, without hesitation. When she mentioned the villa in Tuscany for the wedding week and started panicking about costs, I didn't think twice. I put the entire thing on my credit card. $15,000 for a week-long celebration of love, because that's what sisters do, right? Daphne paid for the villa. Jayla, my best friend and fellow bridesmaid, said quietly from the corner. God bless her. Meredith waved a dismissive hand. And we're very grateful, but gratitude doesn't change the optics. The optics? I repeated. A failed marriage standing next to a successful one. Meredith continued, as if she was explaining basic math to a child. It's like having a funeral director at a birthday party. Charlie, Ciara's fiancé, shifted uncomfortably in his chair, but said nothing. Of course he said nothing. The man had the backbone of overcooked pasta. "So, what's the plan?" I asked, surprised by how calm I sounded. "I just disappear. You'll still be in the wedding party," Ciara said quickly. "Just not as maid of honor. Sarah can take over those duties." Sarah, who had known Ciara for exactly 18 months and spent most of their friendship complaining about her own boyfriend. "And the speech?" I asked. "We think it's better if I don't remind everyone that marriages can fail," I finished. Got it. The room was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning humming. I stood up slowly, smoothing down my dress, and grabbed my purse. "Where are you going?" Ciara asked, and for a second she sounded like my little sister again, the one who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. "Home," I said. "I need to think." "Daphne, don't be dramatic. Dramatic!" I turned back to face her. "Ciara, I just spent 3 months putting your wedding together while my own life fell apart. I paid for your dream venue. I organized your bachelorette party. I held your hand through every meltdown about napkin colors and seating charts. And now you're telling me I'm bad luck?" "It's not personal," Meredith interjected. I laughed, and it came out sharp and bitter. "Lady, everything about this is personal." I walked toward the door, then paused. "By the way, Ciara, the villa reservation is in my name. Enjoy figuring that out." The last thing I heard as I left was Meredith's horrified gasp and Ciara calling my name. But I was already gone, walking out into the parking lot with my dignity hanging by a thread and my credit card statement burning a hole in my purse. I sat in my car for a full 5 minutes, staring at the steering wheel before I finally let myself feel it. The rage, the humiliation, the absolute audacity of it all. Then I pulled out my phone and called Jayla. "Get Palmer," I said when she answered. "Emergency wine night. We need to talk." 2 hours later, Jayla burst through my front door like she was conducting a SWAT raid, Palmer right behind her with 3 bottles of wine and a family-size bag of chips. "Where is she?" Jayla demanded, scanning my living room like Ciara might be hiding behind the couch. "Where's your backstabbing sister so I can tell her exactly what I think?" "Gone," I said from my spot on the floor, surrounded by crumpled tissues and an empty pint of Ben & Jerry's. Back to her perfect life with her perfect fiancé and his perfect mother. Palmer set the wine on my coffee table and sat down beside me. "Okay, walk us through it again." Slowly, I told them everything, every painful detail, every dismissive comment, every moment of that humiliating brunch. By the time I finished, Jayla was pacing my living room like a caged tiger. $15,000, she kept repeating. $15,000! I know. For a villa she's now using to celebrate kicking you out of her wedding. Jayla, and that crusty old bat Meredith had the nerve to call you bad luck? You know what's bad luck? Marrying into a family of snobs who think divorce is contagious. Palmer poured 3 generous glasses of wine. "What did your parents say?" I laughed bitterly. "Mom texted me an hour ago. Honey, maybe it's for the best. You know how stressed Ciara gets." "Oh, hell no." Jayla stopped pacing. "Your mom said that?" "Word for word. Dad hasn't even responded." Palmer handed me a glass. "So what's the plan?" "Plan?" I took a long sip. "The plan is to show up, smile, and pretend this didn't happen, because that's what good sisters do, right? Wrong, Jayla said firmly. That's what doormats do. What choice do I have? The wedding's in 2 weeks. Everything's paid for. Palmer raised an eyebrow. Everything's paid for by who? By me, but... I stopped. Wait, what are you getting at? The villa, Palmer said slowly. It's in your name? Yeah, but I can't just... Can't just what? Jayla sat down across from me, her eyes lighting up with something dangerous. Can't just use the vacation rental you paid for. It's for Ciara's wedding week. According to who? Palmer asked. Did you sign a contract saying you'd give up your rights to the property? I stared at them both. You're not seriously suggesting. I'm suggesting, Jayla said, that your sister kicked you out of her wedding party. But who paid for the party? The words hit me like a slap. I grabbed my laptop from the coffee table and pulled up my email, scrolling through until I found the confirmation from the villa rental company. Reservation holder, Daphne Ray, I read aloud. Check-in, June 15th. Check-out, June 22nd. And when's the wedding? Palmer asked. June 18th. Jayla grinned. So you have the villa for the entire week, but the wedding party is supposed to arrive on the 16th for the rehearsal dinner, and... I stopped talking as the pieces clicked together. Oh my God! There it is, Palmer said softly. I stared at the screen, my heart racing. The villa was mine. Legally, completely mine. I'd paid for it, booked it, and never transferred the reservation to anyone else. I could go early, I said quietly. You could go whenever you want, Jayla corrected. It's your villa. But what about Ciara's wedding? What about it? Jayla shrugged. She made it very clear you're not welcome in her wedding. She didn't say anything about you not being welcome at your own vacation rental. Palmer leaned forward. Think about it, Daphne. You've been planning this trip for months. You deserve a vacation after everything you've been through. A vacation with my friends, Jayla added meaningfully. I looked between them, my mind racing. You'd come with me? Are you kidding? Jayla pulled out her phone. I've been dying to use my vacation days. Palmer? I can work remotely from anywhere, Palmer said, especially somewhere with good wine and better weather. I stared at the confirmation email again, then at my friends, then back at the screen. A slow smile spread across my face. The reservation is non-refundable anyway, I said. Exactly, Jayla said. So really, you'd be wasting money if you didn't go, and it would be a shame to let such a beautiful villa sit empty, Palmer added. I opened a new browser tab and pulled up flight booking sites. How fast can you pack? For this, Jayla was already texting. I can be ready in 2 hours. Palmer raised her glass. To reclaiming what's yours. I clinked my glass against theirs, feeling something shift inside me. Not quite revenge yet, but something close to it. Something that tasted like freedom. Change of plans, I said, pulling out my phone to text the group chat. Girls' Week. Pack bold. The villa was even more stunning than the photos. Perched on a hillside overlooking the Mediterranean, with infinity pools that seemed to spill into the horizon and terraces draped in bougainvillea. The staff greeted us like we were royalty. Signorina Daphne! Marco, the property manager, rushed forward with genuine warmth. Welcome, welcome. Everything is prepared exactly as you requested. Thank you, Marco. These are my friends, Jayla and Palmer. Ah, yes, the celebration party. We have champagne chilling, and the chef is preparing your welcome dinner. Jola shot me a look. Celebration party? I may have told them we were celebrating my new beginning, I said, dropping my bags in the marble foyer. Palmer whistled low. Daphne, this place is insane. How much did this cost? Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. We spent the first day doing absolutely nothing productive. Swimming, drinking wine that cost more than my car payment, and letting the Italian sun bake away 3 months of stress. It felt like therapy, except with better scenery and no copay. I can't believe you almost gave this up, Jayla said, floating on her back in the pool. For a wedding where you weren't even wanted. I can't believe I paid for my own humiliation, I replied, sipping a Bellini on the pool deck. Palmer looked up from her book. Speaking of humiliation, did you see Kiara's Instagram story? I grabbed my phone. There was Kiara, posing in what looked like a hotel room, with the caption, "Last-minute venue change. Sometimes the universe has better plans." Blessed wedding week. Venue change? I scrolled through the comments. What venue change? Keep reading, Palmer said. The comments were a goldmine. Wait, what happened to the villa? I thought you were staying in Tuscany. Is everything okay? Ciara had responded to a few. Just some family drama, but we're making it work. Love always finds a way. Family drama, I repeated. I'm family drama now. You're about to be a lot more than that, Jayla said, climbing out of the pool. Check your messages. I opened my phone to find 17 missed calls from Ciara, 12 from my mother, and a string of increasingly frantic texts. Ciara. Daphne, we need to talk. Ciara. The villa people said you checked in early? Ciara. This isn't funny. Call me back. Ciara. Mom says you're not answering. We're supposed to arrive tomorrow. Mom. Honey, please call your sister. She's very upset. Mom. This isn't like you to be vindictive. The last text was from an unknown number. This is Meredith. I don't know what game you're playing, but this behavior is unacceptable. Call me immediately. Oh, this is Rich, I said, showing them the messages. Now I'm vindictive. You know what's vindictive? Jayla grabbed the phone. Kicking your sister out of your wedding after she paid for everything. Palmer sat up. Wait, they don't know you're here with us. I may have been vague about my travel plans, so they think you're just squatting in the villa alone? Apparently. We looked at each other and burst out laughing, the kind of laughter that comes from pure, unadulterated chaos. This is better than reality TV, Palmer said. My phone buzzed with another call from Ciara. I declined it and opened my camera app instead. What are you doing? Jayla asked, documenting my vindictive behavior. I snapped a photo of my Bellini against the sunset backdrop. For posterity, post it, Palmer said immediately. I shouldn't. Post it, Jayla agreed, with a caption about finding peace after difficult times. I hesitated for exactly 3 seconds before uploading it to Instagram with the caption, Sometimes the best therapy is a change of scenery, grateful for true friends and new beginnings. Tuscany, healing. Blessed. Within minutes, the likes started pouring in, comments from college friends, co-workers, even some of Kiara's friends. You're glowing. You deserve this. Living your best life. My phone immediately started ringing. Ciara again. Answer it, Palmer said. This should be good. I put it on speaker. Hello? Daphne, what the hell are you doing? Chiara's voice was shrill with panic. Having a vacation? What are you doing? You can't just take over the villa. The wedding party is supposed to arrive tomorrow. The wedding party that I'm no longer part of? That's not... Look, we can work this out. Maybe you can stay in the guest house, or... The guest house? I looked at Jayla, who was making throat-slitting gestures. Chiara, this is my vacation rental. I paid for it. It's in my name. But it's for my wedding. Your wedding that I'm apparently cursing with my presence? Silence on the other end. Daphne. Sayara's voice got smaller. Please, I'm sorry about what Meredith said. Can't we just what? Pretend you didn't humiliate me in front of everyone? Pretend you didn't choose your future mother-in-law over your own sister? It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. I stood up, pacing to the edge of the terrace. You made your choice, Chiara. Now live with it. But where are we supposed to stay? I hear hotels are lovely this time of year. I hung up and immediately turned off my phone. Damn, Palmer said. That was ice cold. Good. Jayla raised her glass. Let them scramble. 3 days of blissful peace ended with the sound of car doors slamming in the villa's driveway. Expecting someone? Palmer asked from her spot on the pool float. I looked up from my book, squinting against the afternoon sun. Not unless Marco ordered more wine. The doorbell rang, then rang again. Then someone started pounding on the door. Daphne, open up! We need to talk! Chiara's voice carried across the courtyard, like a fire alarm. Oh, this is happening, Jayla said, practically bouncing out of her lounge chair. This is actually happening. I stood up slowly, adjusting my white bikini and grabbing my cover-up. Should I put on clothes? Absolutely not, Palmer said. You look amazing, and they're the ones showing up uninvited. More pounding. Daphne, I know you're in there. I walked to the front door, my bare feet silent on the cool marble. Through the peephole, I could see Ciara, Charlie, and Meredith standing on the doorstep with suitcases. Meredith looked like she was about to have a stroke. I opened the door with my biggest smile. Ciara, what a surprise! My sister's mouth fell open. Behind her, Charlie's eyes went wide, and Meredith made a sound like a deflating balloon. What are you wearing? Ciara hissed. A swimsuit. It's called vacation attire. I leaned against the doorframe. What brings you by? What brings us by? Meredith pushed forward. This is our accommodation. We have a wedding in 3 days. Your accommodation? I tilted my head. That's interesting. Marco didn't mention any other guests. Because you're not supposed to be here. Ciara's voice cracked. You're supposed to be home, dealing with your divorce like a normal person. Dealing with my divorce? I laughed. Ciara, I am dealing with my divorce. With wine, sunshine, and friends who actually support me. Friends? Charlie finally spoke up, looking confused. Daphne! Jayla's voice carried from the pool area. Is everything okay? The shrimp is getting cold. Meredith's face turned purple. There are people here? My friends. Yes, we're having a lovely time. You can't just take over our venue. Meredith sputtered. My venue. I corrected. Would you like to see the reservation confirmation? I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. Meredith snatched it from my hands, her eyes scanning the details. This is impossible. Ciara said what? I looked at my sister, who had gone very pale. I told them you were just Staying here temporarily, Ciara whispered, until we arrived. Temporarily? I raised an eyebrow. In the villa I paid for? For my own vacation? Your vacation? Charlie looked between us. But this is our wedding week. Your wedding week that I'm no longer invited to participate in, remember? Palmer appeared behind me, still dripping from the pool, holding a glass of wine. Everything okay, Daphne? Palmer, meet my sister Chiara, her fiancé Charlie, and his mother Meredith. Everyone, this is Palmer, one of my actual friends. Charmed, Palmer said dryly. Meredith was still staring at my phone. This reservation is non-refundable. I know. That's why I'm using it. But what about our wedding party? Chiara's voice was getting higher. Where are we supposed to stay? I hear the hotel in town is lovely. The hotel. Charlie looked panicked. But we specifically chose this villa for the wedding photos, the rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal dinner I was supposed to plan, I said. Before I became a bad omen, remember? Meredith handed my phone back with shaking hands. This is unacceptable. We have guests arriving tomorrow. Then you should probably start making some calls. Daphne, please. Chiara stepped closer. Can't we work something out? Maybe we can all stay here together. Together? I looked at her like she'd suggested we all get matching tattoos. Ciara, you kicked me out of your wedding because I might curse it with my divorce cooties. Now you want to share a villa with me? It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. I stepped back into the doorway. You made your choice. You chose Meredith's superstitions over your own sister. You chose appearances over family, so now you get to live with those choices. But the wedding will happen somewhere else, or it won't. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Meredith's voice was ice cold. You're doing this out of spite. I'm doing this out of self-respect, I replied. There's a difference. This is ridiculous, Charlie said. Surely we can find a compromise. The compromise, Jayla called from behind me, would have been not humiliating your sister-in-law in the first place. Sister-in-law? Meredith looked confused. Former sister-in-law, I corrected, since I'm apparently too cursed to stand next to your son. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. So what now? Chiara asked quietly. Now you leave, I said, and you figure out your own wedding arrangements, like adults. Daphne. Goodbye, Chiara. I started to close the door, but Meredith stuck her foot in the gap. This isn't over, she said. You're right. I smiled. It's just getting started. I closed the door firmly and turned the lock. Through the wood, I could hear muffled arguing, car doors slamming, and the sound of gravel crunching under tires. Well, Palmer said, raising her wine glass. That went better than expected. Better? I stared at her. They left, didn't they? My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. the next morning. Mom's ringtone. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message while making coffee. Daphne, honey, your sister is beside herself. They can't find anywhere to stay within 25 miles because of some festival. Please call me back. We need to fix this. Fix this? I said to my empty kitchen. I didn't break anything. Jayla stumbled out onto the terrace, squinting in the morning light. Was that your phone? It's barely dawn. Family drama, I said, handing her a cup of coffee. Already? They just left yesterday. Palmer joined us, looking surprisingly alert for someone who'd finished 2 bottles of wine the night before. I have news, and it's not good news for Team Bride. Spill, Jayla said. My friend Sarah, the one who took over your maid of honor duties, she's in the wedding party group chat. Apparently, they spent 4 hours last night calling every hotel, B&B, and vacation rental within 50 miles. Everything's booked solid. Because of the festival? I asked. Some huge music festival in the next town over. Has been sold out for months. I sipped my coffee, trying to process this. So, where are they staying? As of last night? Charlie's parents were in some roadside motel an hour away. The wedding party is scattered across 3 different towns, and Meredith is apparently having a complete meltdown. Good, Jayla said immediately. Is it good? I asked. I mean, I wanted to make a point, not destroy her entire wedding. She destroyed your place in her wedding first, Palmer pointed out. This is just consequences. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Sarah. Can we talk? It's important. I showed them the message. Should I answer? Put it on speaker, Jayla said. I called the number back. Sarah answered on the first ring. Daphne, thank God. Listen, I need to tell you something, and I probably shouldn't, but I can't keep quiet anymore. Okay. Meredith sent an email to the entire wedding party last night. She was trying to send it just to Charlie, but she hit reply all by mistake. Palmer leaned forward. What did it say? I'm forwarding it to you right now. But Daphne, it's bad. My phone pinged with the email notification. I opened it and read aloud. Charlie, your future sister-in-law is a jealous witch who can't stand to see other people happy. You should have cut her off years ago instead of letting her manipulate Kiara with money. This is exactly the kind of toxic behavior I warned you about. We need to present a united front and make sure everyone knows this tantrum is not our fault. The silence on the terrace was deafening. She sent this to everyone? I asked. The entire wedding party. Bridesmaids, groomsmen, plus ones. About 40 people. What was the reaction? Mixed. Some people are Team Meredith, but honestly, most people think she went too far, especially after they found out you paid for the villa. Jayla grabbed my phone. She called you a jealous witch? And toxic, Palmer added helpfully. There's more, Sarah continued. Charlie's cousin posted at the group chat asking if this was really about you being divorced, or if there was something else going on. And then what? Then Nicholas showed up. I nearly dropped my coffee. Nicholas? Nicholas from high school? The same one. Apparently he's friends with Charlie's brother, and he was invited to the wedding. He saw the whole email chain, and he's not happy. Nicholas. I hadn't thought about him in years, but we'd all grown up together. He'd been Chiara's first crush, actually, before he moved away for college. What did he say? He said, and I quote, "Anyone who calls Daphne toxic doesn't know her at all. She's one of the most loyal people I've ever met, and if she's taking a stand like this, there's probably a damn good reason." He said that. In the group chat, in front of everyone. Palmer was grinning. I like this Nicholas guy. It gets better, Sarah continued. After that, people started asking questions about why you were really removed from the wedding party, about who paid for what, about whether this was really about superstition or something else. Something else. Daphne, I don't know how to say this, but some people are starting to wonder if Chiara was jealous of you. Like, maybe she wanted you out of the spotlight. I sat down hard in my chair. That's ridiculous, is it? You just went through a divorce, you're vulnerable, and instead of supporting you, she kicks you out of her wedding and takes your money for the venue. From the outside, it looks pretty calculated. Jayla was nodding vigorously. I've been saying this for months. There's one more thing, Sarah said. Nicholas asked for your number. He wants to call you. Why? He said he has something to tell you about Ciara, something he should have told you a long time ago. My blood went cold. What kind of something? He wouldn't say over the phone, but Daphne, he seemed really upset, like genuinely angry upset. I looked at Palmer and Jayla, who were both staring at me with identical expressions of concern. Give him my number, I said finally. Are you sure? I'm sure. If there's something I need to know, I want to know it. Okay, I'll text him now. Sarah, thank you for telling me about the email. You deserve to know. And Daphne, for what it's worth, I think you're handling this exactly right. After I hung up, we sat in silence for a long moment. Well, Palmer said finally, this just got interesting. My phone rang. Unknown number. That was fast, Jayla said. I answered. Hello? Daphne, it's Nicholas. We need to talk. Nicholas? Hi. Sarah said you wanted to talk? I'm driving to you right now. I'll be there in 2 hours. I blinked. You're driving here? To the villa? I can't say this over the phone. And after reading that email from Meredith, I can't keep quiet anymore. What email are you talking about exactly? The one where she called you a jealous witch. Daphne, I've known you since we were 12. You're a lot of things, but jealous isn't one of them. Jayla was making frantic hand gestures, mouthing, "Put it on speaker." I complied. Nicholas, what's this about? It's about your sister, and something that happened last year that you don't know about. My stomach dropped. What happened last year? I'll tell you when I get there. But Daphne, you're going to want to sit down for this. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. Well, that was ominous, Palmer said. What could Ciara have done last year that I don't know about? Only one way to find out, Jayla said. But first, we need to talk about your mom. My mom? She's been calling you non-stop. Maybe it's time to answer. As if summoned, my phone rang again. Mom. Hi, Mom. Daphne, thank goodness. Honey, you need to come home right now and fix this situation with your sister. Fix what situation? Don't play dumb. Ciara is having a nervous breakdown. She can't find anywhere for her wedding party to stay, and Meredith is threatening to cancel the whole thing. Maybe Meredith should have thought about that before she called me a bad omen. That's not fair, and you know it. She was just trying to protect Ciara's special day. I looked at Jayla, who was making throat-slitting gestures again. Mom, did you read the email Meredith sent to the wedding party? Silence. Mom? What email? The one where she called me a jealous witch and said I was toxic. I'm sure she didn't mean... She meant every word. And you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe I am toxic. Maybe that's why I paid $15,000 for a villa and then had the audacity to use it after being kicked out of the wedding. Daphne, you're being dramatic. Dramatic? I stood up, pacing to the edge of the terrace. Mom, when Caleb cheated on me, who was the first person I called? You called me. Wrong. I called Ciara. When I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Who held me? When I needed someone to help me pack up my entire life, who was there? Your sister was there for you? She was. Until it became inconvenient. Until her future mother-in-law decided my divorce was contagious. It's not about that. Then, what is it about, Mom? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like Kiara chose her wedding over her sister, and you're choosing to enable that. I'm choosing to keep this family together. By asking me to swallow my pride and pretend this didn't happen. By asking you to be the bigger person. I laughed, and it came out sharp and bitter. I'm always the bigger person, Mom. When we were kids and Chiara broke something, who took the blame? When she needed money for college, who co-signed her loans? When she wanted this villa, who paid for it without question? That's what family does. No, Mom, that's what I do. And I'm done. You don't mean that. I mean every word. I'm done being the family doormat. I'm done sacrificing my dignity for the sake of keeping the peace. And I'm done pretending that what Kiara did was okay. She's your sister. She was my sister. Sisters don't humiliate each other in public. Sisters don't choose their in-laws over their own blood. And sisters definitely don't take $15,000 from someone they're about to betray. Daphne, I have to go, Mom. Nicholas is coming over, and apparently he has something to tell me about Kiara that I should have known a long time ago. What does Nicholas have to do with anything? I guess I'm about to find out. I hung up and immediately turned my phone to silent. Damn, Palmer said. You just went nuclear on your mom. She deserved it. They all deserve it. What do you think Nicholas wants to tell you? Jayla asked. I have no idea, but given the week I've had, I'm expecting the worst. 2 hours later, a rental car pulled into the driveway. Nicola got out, and I was surprised by how much he'd changed. Taller, broader, with the kind of confidence that comes from success, but his eyes were the same, kind, but serious. Daphne. He hugged me tightly. I'm so sorry about all of this. You drove 2 hours to apologize for my sister's behavior. I drove 2 hours to tell you the truth about your sister's behavior. He looked at Jayla and Palmer. This is going to be a private conversation. They're my best friends, I said. Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of them. Nicholas nodded slowly. Okay, but you're not going to like this. I already don't like any of this. Just tell me. He took a deep breath. Last year, during Chiara's bachelorette party in Vegas, she cheated on Charlie. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? She slept with someone else, a guy she met at the hotel bar. I know because I was there. Charlie's brother invited me to the bachelor party, and we ended up at the same hotel. You saw her? I saw her leaving his room the next morning. She begged me not to tell Charlie, said it was a mistake, that it would never happen again. I sat down hard on the terrace steps. And you kept quiet? I kept quiet because she's your sister, and I didn't want to destroy your family. But after seeing what she's doing to you now, after watching her take your money and kick you out of her wedding, I can't stay silent anymore. Does Charlie know? Not unless she told him, which I doubt. I looked up at him. Why are you telling me this now? Because your sister is not the victim here, Daphne. You are, and I'll be damned if I let her destroy your reputation to cover up her own guilt. The morning of Ciara's wedding, I woke up to 17 missed calls and a string of increasingly desperate texts. Ciara. Please, I'm begging you. We have nowhere to go. Ciara. The wedding is in 6 hours and half our guests are scattered across 3 towns. Ciara. I know I messed up. Can we please talk? Mom. Your sister is in tears. Please just give her the villa for today. Even Charlie had texted, Daphne, I know things are complicated, but could we work something out? Just for the ceremony? I showed the messages to Nicholas over breakfast. He'd stayed in the guest room, and somehow his presence made everything feel more real, more justified. They're panicking, he said, scrolling through the texts. Good, Jayla said from the pool. Let them panic. I almost feel bad, I admitted. Don't, Palmer said firmly. You didn't create this situation. You just refused to be a doormat. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Daphne? The voice was shaky, older. Yes, who is this? This is Margaret, Charlie's aunt. I'm calling about the wedding situation. I put it on speaker. Okay. Dear, I don't know what happened between you and your sister, but I wanted you to know that some of us understand. My nephew's mother can be difficult. That's one word for it. I've been married 43 years, and I can tell you that a marriage built on excluding family members is not starting on the right foot. I was quiet, not sure how to respond. I also wanted you to know that several of us have decided not to attend today. If the bride's own sister isn't welcome, then perhaps we're not either. Mrs. Margaret, you don't have to. We do have to. Some things are more important than a party, dear. Family loyalty is one of them. After she hung up, we sat in stunned silence. Did Charlie's aunt just boycott the wedding? Palmer asked. I think she did. Nicholas was checking his phone. It's not just her. The group chat is blowing up. At least 6 people have said they're not coming. Because of me? Because of how you were treated. There's a difference. Around noon, Marco appeared with a catering truck. Signorina Daphne, the wedding cake and lunch service you ordered has arrived. I stared at him. I didn't order any. Then I remembered. Oh no. What? Jayla asked. I prepaid for catering services for today, for the rehearsal dinner that was supposed to happen here. So? So the cake and food that was supposed to be for Kiara's wedding is here, at my villa, that she can't access. Nicholas started laughing. You accidentally stole your sister's wedding cake? I didn't steal it. I paid for it. This keeps getting better, Palmer said. Marco looked confused. Should I send it back? No, I said slowly. Set it up on the terrace. We're having a party. What kind of party? Jayla asked. A freedom party, an empowerment party, a I'm done being treated like garbage party. I grabbed my phone and opened Instagram, snapping a photo of the elaborate 3-tier cake with its delicate sugar flowers. What are you doing? Nicholas asked. Documenting my vindictive behavior. I typed a caption. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. When life gives you a prepaid wedding cake, make a celebration of new beginnings. Living my best life, fast freedom, schalt blessed. I hit post. Daphne, Palmer said slowly, that's Kiara's wedding cake. That's my prepaid wedding cake that happens to have been intended for Kiara's wedding. My phone immediately started buzzing with notifications, likes, comments, shares. Within minutes it had dozens of responses. You're glowing! This is iconic! Living for this energy! Then the calls started. First Ciara, then Mom, then numbers I didn't recognize. Turn it off, Nicholas said. Just for today. Let them figure it out. I powered down my phone and looked around at my friends, at the beautiful villa, at the elaborate cake that was supposed to celebrate a marriage that excluded me. You know what? I said. Let's actually have a party. A real one. With the wedding cake? Jayla asked. with the wedding cake, the wedding champagne, and the wedding flowers, all of which I paid for. Palmer raised her mimosa. To Daphne, for finally putting herself first. To revenge served cold, Jayla added. To consequences, Nicholas said quietly. And to people finally getting what they deserve. We spent the afternoon by the pool, eating cake and drinking champagne, while somewhere across town, Kiara was presumably scrambling to salvage her wedding day. Around sunset, Nicholas found me on the terrace, looking out over the Mediterranean. "Any regrets?" he asked. "About the cake?" "No, about the villa. No, about finally standing up for myself?" I paused. "Definitely not." "And about your sister?" I was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sad about who she turned out to be, but I'm not sorry for refusing to enable it anymore. She made her choices." "She did, and now she gets to live with them." Nicola moved closer. "For what it's worth, I think you're handling this perfectly." "By destroying her wedding." "By refusing to be destroyed by her selfishness." In the distance, I could see lights twinkling in the town below. Somewhere down there, Kiara was either getting married in a hotel ballroom or postponing the whole thing. Either way, it was happening without me. And for the first time in months, I was okay with that. "Come on," Nicholas said, taking my hand. "Let's go cut the cake properly." "It's not my wedding cake." "No," he smiled. "It's better. It's your freedom cake." The next morning, I woke up to find Nicholas making coffee in the villa's kitchen, humming softly. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and for the first time in months, I felt genuinely peaceful. "Good morning," he said, handing me a cup. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in ages. What time is it?" "Almost 10. Jayla and Palmer are already by the pool, planning your triumphant return to reality." I laughed. "Is that what we're calling it?" "That's what they're calling it. I'm calling it watching someone finally choose themselves." My phone, which I'd turned back on an hour ago, buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Wedding was postponed. Meredith had a complete meltdown when she found out about the cake. Charlie's questioning everything. Thought you should know." I showed Nicholas the message. "How do you feel about that?" he asked. "Honestly." "Relieved. If they'd managed to pull it off, I would have felt like the villain. This way, the consequences speak for themselves." "And if Ciara calls?" "She already has. 17 times. I'm not ready for that conversation yet." Palmer appeared in the doorway. "Speaking of conversations, there's someone here to see you." "Please tell me it's not—" "It's your mom." I closed my eyes. Of course it is. Mom was standing in the villa's foyer, looking smaller than I remembered. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she was clutching her purse like a lifeline. "Hi, Mom." "Daphne." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Can we talk?" "If you're here to guilt me into giving Kiara the villa, you're too late. The wedding was already postponed." "I'm not here about the villa." She sat down heavily on the couch. "I'm here to apologize." That stopped me cold. "Apologize? I talked to Nicholas yesterday. He told me about Vegas." I glanced at Nicholas, who was standing in the doorway with Jayla and Palmer. He nodded slightly. "Mom." "I also talked to Margaret, Charlie's aunt. She told me about Meredith's email, about how you were treated at that brunch, about things I should have seen but chose to ignore. You were trying to keep the peace. I was enabling your sister's selfishness." Mom's voice cracked. And I was asking you to do the same thing I've been doing for years, making excuses for her behavior instead of holding her accountable. I sat down across from her. Why now? Because I watched my daughter destroy her own wedding rather than admit she was wrong. Because I realized that in trying to protect Kiara from consequences, I was teaching her that she didn't have to face them. And I was asking you to sacrifice your dignity to maintain that illusion. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry. For the first time in days, I felt my own eyes fill with tears. Mom, you were right to take the villa. You were right to stand up for yourself. And you were right to hang up on me when I tried to make you the villain in your sister's story. I didn't want to hurt anyone. You didn't hurt anyone. You just stopped letting them hurt you. We sat in silence for a moment. What happens now? I asked. Now Kiara has to figure out how to fix her own mess. Charlie's having second thoughts about the marriage. Meredith is furious about the public embarrassment, and half the wedding party is questioning whether they want to be involved at all. And you? I'm going to stop making excuses for her, and I'm going to start being the mother you deserved all along. After Mom left, promising to call later in the week, I found myself back on the terrace with my friends and Nicholas. So, Jayla said, raising her wine glass. What's the verdict? Was the revenge worth it? I thought about it. It wasn't really revenge, it was just boundaries. Expensive boundaries, Palmer pointed out. The most expensive boundaries in history, I agreed, but worth every penny. And what about Kiara? Nicholas asked. What about her? Are you going to talk to her? Eventually, when she's ready to have a real conversation about what she did, not just damage control for her reputation. And if she's not ready? Then she's not ready. I can't force someone to grow up, and I'm done trying. Nicola moved closer on the couch. For what it's worth, I think you handled this perfectly. By accidentally stealing her wedding cake. By refusing to be treated like garbage by people who should love you most. Jayla stood up suddenly. I have an idea. What if we made this an annual thing? What? Stealing wedding cakes? No, idiot. A girls' trip. Same time every year. A celebration of choosing yourself over toxic people. Palmer nodded enthusiastically. I love it. The annual I'm done being a doormat retreat. We need a better name, I said, laughing. We'll workshop it, Jayla said. But the point stands. This villa, these friends, this energy, we should make it a tradition. I looked around at the 3 people who had supported me through the worst week of my life, who had celebrated my small victories and held space for my anger without trying to fix it or minimize it. You know what? I said. Let's do it. Really? Really? Every year, same week, same villa. A reminder that we choose who gets access to our lives. Nicholas squeezed my hand. And what about between now and next year? Between now and next year, I figure out who I am when I'm not trying to manage everyone else's feelings. And if your sister wants to be part of that, then she'll have to earn it, the same way anyone else would. As the sun set over the Mediterranean, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, I realized something had shifted. The anger was still there, but it felt cleaner now, less like poison and more like fuel. Revenge doesn't fix a broken heart, but it sure as hell sets a boundary no one crosses again. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.
The voicemail was meant for Walter, not me. I know this because my sister Esme starts it with, "Hey babe, and ends it with a giggle that makes my skin crawl. But somewhere between complaining about her manicure appointment and planning their weekend getaway, she must have hit my contact instead of his. God, I can't believe Kendall actually thinks she's going to get more child support. Like, what's she going to do? Hire a better lawyer with her target cashier salary? Esme's voice drips with that particular brand of cruelty she's perfected since we were kids. I told Walter she's probably just bluffing. She doesn't have the spine for a real fight. My name is Kendall, and I've been listening to this voicemail on repeat for the past hour while my 3-year-old son Wally naps on the couch beside me. Each time I hear it, something cold and sharp settles deeper in my chest. The text from Esme comes 20 minutes later. Family, dinner Sunday for Mom and Dad's 40th. 6 p.m. Hope you can make it. That smirking emoji tells me everything I need to know. Walter will be there. Of course he will be. My ex-husband has somehow managed to maintain his golden boy status with my parents, even after our divorce 6 months ago. Mom still asks about his job at the high school. Dad still invites him to watch football. Meanwhile, I'm the one who embarrassed the family by filing for divorce. I screenshot the text and send it to Tamara, my best friend, and the only person who knows what I've really been doing these past few months. She calls immediately. Please tell me you're not going, Tamara says without preamble. I'm going. Kendall? I'm ready, Tam. We both know I'm ready. There's a pause. Tamara works as a paralegal downtown, and she's been helping me navigate this nightmare since day one. She's also been the only witness to my transformation from doormat ex-wife to something else entirely. How much do you have now? She asks quietly. I walk to my bedroom and pull out a thick manila folder from under my mattress. Inside are printed transcripts, screenshots, audio files burned to CDs, and a USB drive that contains 6 months of my life's work. 47 recordings, I say, flipping through the pages. Screenshots of text conversations between Walter and Esme going back 8 months. Bank statements showing he's been lying about his income. Photos of them together at restaurants when he claimed he was working late. Jesus. And that's just the custody stuff. I haven't even told you about what I found on his laptop. Tamara is quiet for a long moment. You know, once you do this, there's no going back, right? Your family? My family chose sides a long time ago. I close the folder and slide it back under the mattress. They just didn't bother to tell me. Wally stirs on the couch and I walk back to check on him. He's got Walter's dark hair but my stubborn chin, and right now he's clutching his stuffed dinosaur like it might disappear. He's been having nightmares since the divorce, waking up asking why Daddy doesn't live here anymore. What I haven't told him is that Daddy never really lived here. Not the way that mattered. The dinner is Sunday, I tell Tamara. Can you be on standby? Always. But, Kendall, are you sure about the nuclear option? Once their employers get involved, they should have thought about that before they decided to coordinate their stories for court. My voice comes out harder than I intended. Walter lied to the judge about his income. Esme helped him hide assets. They've been planning this for months, Tam. While I was crying myself to sleep and wondering what I did wrong, they were strategizing how to make sure I got as little as possible. I think about all those late nights when Walter claimed he was grading papers, all those times Esme conveniently stopped by when he was here, all those family dinners where they shared inside jokes while I sat there feeling like a stranger in my own life. You know what the worst part is? I continue. They think I'm stupid. They actually believe I don't know what's been going on. Well, Tamara says, and I can hear the smile in her voice. Sunday should be educational for everyone. After we hang up, I sit in the quiet of my small apartment and listen to Esme's voicemail one more time. This time, though, I'm not listening with the hurt of betrayal. I'm listening like a prosecutor reviewing evidence. She doesn't have the spine for a real fight. I save the voicemail to my phone and add it to my collection. We'll see about that, Esme. We'll see about that. Saturday morning, Tamara and I meet at the diner on 5th Street. She's already ordered coffee and has her laptop open when I slide into the booth across from her. It's done, she says without looking up. Sent at 9 a.m. sharp. All three. Walter's principal, Esme's managing partner, and the family court mediator. Tamara closes the laptop and finally meets my eyes. You sure about this timing? I pull out my phone and show her the latest text from Walter. Picking up Wally at 2. Don't be late. Judge won't like it if you're uncooperative. He's still threatening me, I say. Even now. Tamara reads the message and shakes her head. The audacity is actually impressive. Our waitress brings my coffee and I wrap my hands around the mug to stop them from shaking. 6 months of planning and now it's all in motion. There's no stopping it. Tell me about the early days again, Tamara says. I need to make sure we didn't miss anything. I take a sip of coffee and let my mind drift back. It started about a year ago. Walter would get these texts during dinner, always from E. He'd smile at his phone in this way he never smiled at me. And Esme? She started coming around more, always had some excuse. Needed to borrow something, wanted to see Wally, had drama with whatever guy she was dating. I laugh, but there's no humour in it. She'd sit on our couch complaining about men, and Walter would give her this sympathetic look, like he was the only one who really understood her. When did you know for sure? Christmas Eve. I came home early from my mum's and found them on the couch, not doing anything, just sitting too close, talking in whispers. They jumped apart when I walked in, and Esme made some excuse about comforting Walter because work was stressing him out. Tamara nods. That's when you started recording. That's when I got smart. I pull up my voice memo app and show her the timestamp on the first recording. December the 26th. Walter on the phone in the garage telling someone he couldn't wait much longer, that living this lie was killing him. Jesus. It gets better. January 15th. Esme calls me crying about some guy who ghosted her. While she's on the phone, I hear Walter's voice in the background. She claimed she was at Starbucks. The diner door chimes, and I glance up to see a family with a young kid sliding into a booth. The little girl looks about Wally's age, and her parents are smiling at each other over their menus. I used to think Walter and I looked like that. Show me the custody stuff again, Tamara says. I scroll through my phone until I find the recording from March. Walter's voice fills the space between us. Tinny, through the phone speaker, but clear enough. She'll never get more than weekends. I've got the better job, the stable income. Plus, Esme's been documenting all of Kendall's episodes. Tamara's eyebrows shoot up. Episodes! That's what they called it when I cried, when I asked questions, when I had the audacity to be upset that my marriage was falling apart. I stopped the recording. There's more. Esme coaching him on what to say to his lawyer. Walter bragging about hiding money in his brother's account. And they recorded themselves doing this. Voice memos they sent each other. Screenshots of their text conversations that they forgot to delete from the cloud. Walter's laptop that automatically backed up to our shared Google account. I lean back in the booth. They got sloppy because they thought I was stupid. My phone buzzes. Walter again. Running late. We'll be there at 2:30. I show Tamara the text. He's always late. Always has an excuse. Always makes it sound like it's my fault for being inconvenienced. What are you going to do when he gets there? Same thing I've been doing for months. Smile, be cooperative, let him think he's winning. I finish my coffee and signal for the check. The beautiful thing about revenge is that it works best when they never see it coming. We pay and walk to our cars. Tamara hugs me before getting into her Honda. Call me if you need anything, she says. And, Kendall, tomorrow night is going to change everything. I know. Are you ready for that? I think about Wally's nightmares, about the way Walter looks at me like I'm something he scraped off his shoe, about Esme's smirking emoji and her casual cruelty. I've been ready for months. At 2:45, Walter pulls into my driveway. I watch from the window as he checks his phone, probably texting Esme about how unreasonable I am for expecting punctuality. When he knocks, I open the door with a smile. "Sorry I'm late," he says, not sounding sorry at all. "Work stuff." "No problem," I say sweetly, Wally's ready to go. As I watch them drive away, my phone buzzes with a text from Tamara. Someone opened the first email. Game time. I smile and head inside to prepare for tomorrow. Sunday evening, I stand in front of my bedroom mirror, adjusting the neckline of my navy dress. Nothing flashy, nothing that screams, "I'm about to destroy your lives." Just a woman going to her parents' anniversary dinner. The small flash drive sits in my purse next to my phone, both fully charged and ready. Wally tugs at my dress. "Mummy, why can't I come to Grandma's?" "Because tonight is grown-up time, baby. Mrs. Rodriguez is going to make you mac and cheese and let you stay up until 8:30. His eyes widen. "Really? Really?" I kiss his forehead and grab my keys. Be good for the babysitter. The drive to my parents' house takes 12 minutes. I've made this trip 1,000 times, but tonight feels different. Tonight, I'm not going as the family disappointment or the bitter ex-wife. Tonight, I'm going as someone who holds all the cards. Mom answers the door in her best dress, the one she saves for church and special occasions. "Kendall, you look lovely, sweetheart." She hugs me, and I catch a whiff of her perfume mixed with wine. "Everyone's in the living room." Everyone. My stomach tightens, but I keep my expression neutral. Dad sits in his recliner with a beer, watching the news. Esme perches on the couch in a red dress that probably cost more than my rent, wine glass already half empty. And there, in the chair that used to be mine during family gatherings, sits Walter. "Hey, Kendall," Walter says with that charming smile he used to save for me. "You look great." "Thanks." I settle onto the couch, leaving space between Esme and me. "Sorry, I'm late. Traffic was terrible." "No worries," Dad says without looking away from the TV. "Dinner's not ready anyway." Esme takes a large sip of wine and turns to me. "So, how's the job search going? Still at Target?" "Still there," I say evenly. "It pays the bills." Must be nice having such flexible hours. Esme's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Some of us are stuck in the office until 8 or 9 most nights." Walter nods sympathetically. "Esme works so hard. I keep telling her she needs to take better care of herself." The way he says it, like he's genuinely concerned about my sister's well-being, makes my jaw clench. But I just smile and sip the wine Mum handed me. "That's sweet of you to worry about her," I say. Mum calls us to dinner, and we file into the dining room. She's gone all out, her good china, cloth napkins, candles. The table that used to seat our family of 4 now accommodates 5, with Walter sitting where my husband used to sit. "This looks amazing, Mum," Esme says, already reaching for the wine bottle to refill her glass. "Thank you, honey. It's so nice to have everyone together again." Everyone, as if Walter belongs here, as if this is normal. Dad raises his beer. To 40 years of marriage and putting up with all of us. We clink glasses, and I notice how Walter's hand brushes Esme's when they reach for the bread basket. Such a small gesture, but I've been watching for months. I see everything now. "So, Walter," Mum says, passing the roast, "how's the school year going?" "Really well, actually. The kids are great this year, much more motivated than last year's group." "That's wonderful. You're so good with children. It's such a shame about..." She trails off, glancing at me apologetically. "It's fine, Mom," I say. "We're both doing our best for Wally." Esme snorts softly. "Must be nice living off child support, though. Some of us still have to work for a living." The table goes quiet. Dad looks uncomfortable. Mum stares at her plate. Walter tries to hide a smirk behind his napkin. "Esme," Mum says weakly. "What?" "I'm just saying, it must be liberating not having to worry about a career or contributing to society in any meaningful way. Esme's words are slightly slurred now. Just collecting checks and playing house. Walter chuckles. Come on, S, be nice. S, the nickname makes my skin crawl. You're right, I say calmly, setting down my fork. It is liberating. I reach for my purse and pull out my phone. Wally, can you go play in Grandpa's office for a few minutes? The grown-ups need to talk. But I'm not, Esme starts. Wally's not here, I say, still calm. But you're right about one thing, Esme. Some of us do still work. Some of us work very, very hard. I stand up and walk to the living room, where Dad's smart TV connects easily to my phone. The Bluetooth pairs with a soft chime. Kendall, what are you doing? Mum asks, following me with the others close behind. I'm sharing some of my work, I say, settling back into my chair with my wine. I think you'll find it interesting. I tap play on the first audio file. Esme's voice fills the room, crystal clear through the surround sound speakers. I mean, she's basically just a lazy leech with a baby. It's pathetic how she thinks she deserves anything from Walter. Walter's laugh follows. The best part is, she has no idea we've been planning this for months. She's too stupid to see what's right in front of her face. The colour drains from Esme's face. Walter's mouth falls open. I take a sip of wine and smile. This is just the beginning, I say softly. We have so much more to discuss. The silence stretches for exactly 3 seconds before Esme lunges for my phone. Turn it off, she shrieks, but I'm already holding it out of reach. Sit down, Esme. My voice cuts through her panic like ice. We're just getting started. Walter stands up, his face red. Kendall, this is illegal. I tap the screen, and another recording begins. This time it's Walter's voice. She'll never prove I'm hiding money. I've got it all in my brother's account, and she's too dumb to think of checking there. Dad leans forward in his chair, his beer forgotten. Mum covers her mouth with both hands. That's not... I never said that, Walter stammers. March 15th, 2:47 p.m, I say, checking my phone. You were in your car, outside the school. Esme was on speakerphone. Esme's voice crackles through again. God, I can't wait until this is over and we don't have to pretend anymore. I'm so tired of acting like I care about her feelings. This is insane, Esme says, but her voice shakes. You recorded private conversations? I recorded conversations about my son's future and my legal rights, I correct. Conversations where you two planned to commit perjury and hide assets from the court. I scroll to the next file. Oh, here's a good one. April 3rd. Walter's voice fills the room again. The judge is an idiot. He totally bought my story about Kendall being unstable. Esme's notes about her episodes really sealed the deal. What episodes? Dad's voice is sharp. Esme gulps her wine. She was emotional during the divorce, crying all the time, not taking care of herself. I was grieving my marriage, I say simply. While you were documenting my pain to use against me in court, Mum finally finds her voice. Walter, is this true? Did you really hide money? Mrs. Webb, I can explain. It's not just the money, Mum. I tap my screen again. There's so much more. This time it's a text conversation, screenshots displayed on the TV screen, Esme's number, Walter's responses, timestamps going back 8 months. Esme. She's working late again. Coast is clear if you want to come over. Walter. On my way. Did you get the bank statements I asked for? Esme. Already photographed them. She really is terrible with money. Walter. Perfect. My lawyer will love this. You went through my mail, I say to Esme. You photographed my bank statements and gave them to Walter's attorney. I was trying to help. Help who? I stand up, and for the first time tonight, my composure cracks slightly. Help Walter take my son away from me? Help him avoid paying child support? Help yourself to my husband while I was working 60 hours a week trying to keep our family afloat? The room erupts. Mom starts crying. Dad slams his beer down so hard foam spills over the rim. Walter and Esme both start talking at once, their voices overlapping in desperate explanations. Enough! Dad's voice booms over the chaos. Everyone freezes. I reach into my purse and pull out a thick manila envelope, sliding it across the coffee table toward Walter. What's that? He asks, but he doesn't touch it. Open it. Walter's hands shake as he tears the envelope open. His face goes white as he reads the first page. Emergency custody modification, I explain to the room. Filed Friday morning. Granted Friday afternoon. Effective immediately. What does that mean? Mom whispers. It means Walter no longer has unsupervised visitation with Wally. It means his child support payments have been recalculated based on his actual income, not the fake numbers he gave the court. It means I have sole, physical, and legal custody of my son. Walter drops the papers. You can't do this. I have rights. You had rights, I correct, until you committed perjury, until you hid assets, until you conspired with my sister to manipulate court proceedings. I tap my phone one more time. The final recording plays. Walter's voice. The beauty of it is, even if she suspects something, she can't prove it. She doesn't have any evidence, and without evidence, it's just her word against ours. And who's going to believe the bitter ex-wife over the guidance counsellor and the successful lawyer? Esme's giggle follows. God, we're terrible people. Walter. Terrible people who are about to be very happy together. The recording ends. The room is dead silent except for Mum's quiet sobbing. Walter looks at Esme, then at me, then back at Esme. You said you deleted those messages. I thought I did. You thought wrong, I say. Both of you thought wrong about a lot of things. I finish my wine and set the glass down gently on the coffee table. The court hearing is Tuesday morning at 9, I tell Walter. Your lawyer should have received copies of everything by now. All 47 recordings, every screenshot, every piece of evidence of your fraud. Walter's face crumples. Kendall, please. We can work this out. I made mistakes, but nothing. I pick up my purse and head toward the door. You wanted to play games with my son's future. You wanted to treat me like I was stupid. You wanted to destroy my life for your convenience. I pause at the doorway and look back at my family. My parents staring in shock, my sister drunk and desperate, my ex-husband holding papers that represent the end of everything he thought he'd won. Congratulations, I say. You played yourselves. I'm halfway to my car when Walter catches up to me in the driveway. Kendall, wait! He grabs my arm and I turn around slowly. Let go of me. Please, just listen. We can fix this. I'll admit I made mistakes. But taking Wally away completely? That's not fair to him. Fair! I pull my arm free. Was it fair when you told the judge I was mentally unstable? Was it fair when you hid $30,000 so you could pay less child support? I never meant for it to go this far. Yes, you did. My voice is steady, but my hands are shaking. You meant for all of it. You planned every single piece. Behind us, the front door slams. Esme stumbles down the porch steps, still clutching her wine glass. This is insane, she shouts. You can't just destroy people's lives because you're bitter about your divorce. Bitter? I turn to face her. Esme, you helped my husband steal from me and lie to a judge about our son's welfare. What exactly should I be? Grateful? I was trying to help Walter transition by sleeping with him while we were still married. Esme's wine glass slips from her hand and shatters on the concrete. It wasn't like that. March 22nd, I say, pulling out my phone. Text from you to Walter. Can't wait until she's out of the picture and we can stop sneaking around. Walter's face goes grey. Esme, you said you deleted everything. I did delete everything. From my phone, but not from the cloud backup, I say, and not from Walter's laptop that was still connected to our shared Google account. Funny how technology works. A car pulls into the driveway behind mine. Tamara gets out, carrying a manila folder that looks identical to the one I just gave Walter. Sorry I'm late, she says, walking up to our little group. Traffic was murder. Tamara, what are you doing here? Esme asks. Delivering some paperwork. Tamara opens the folder and pulls out 2 thick envelopes, one for each of you. She hands the first envelope to Walter. From Riverside High School's administration, seems they received some interesting recordings about a guidance counsellor who's been lying to family court and engaging in inappropriate relationships with parents. Walter stares at the envelope like it might bite him. They can't fire me for my personal life. They can fire you for moral turpitude, Tamara says cheerfully, especially when that personal life involves perjury and fraud. Bad look for someone who's supposed to be guiding children. She turns to Esme and hands her the second envelope. And this is from Morrison, Klein and Associates. Your managing partner was very interested to learn that one of their attorneys has been helping someone commit fraud and hide assets from the court. Esme tears open the envelope with shaking hands. Her face goes white as she reads. They're suspending me pending investigation, she whispers. Probably temporary, Tamara says, unless the state bar gets involved. Which they will, because I sent them copies too. Walter rounds on me. You vindictive bitch! You're destroying innocent people. Innocent? I laugh, and it sounds harsh even to my own ears. Walter, you committed fraud. You lied under oath. You tried to take my son away from me using fabricated evidence. What part of that is innocent? We weren't trying to hurt Wally. You were trying to hurt me, and Wally is part of me. My composure finally cracks completely. You wanted to punish me for having the audacity to divorce you. You wanted to make sure I had nothing left. The front door opens again, and Mom appears on the porch. Her face is streaked with tears. Stephanie, I can explain. Walter starts toward her. Don't. Mum's voice is cold in a way I've never heard before. Just don't. She looks at Esme, then at Walter, then at me. How long have you known? About the affair, since Christmas, about the fraud, since I started recording them in January. And you didn't tell us? Would you have believed me, I ask, or would you have told me I was being dramatic and bitter? Mum's silence is answer enough. Dad appears behind her, his face hard. Esme, get your things. You're not welcome in this house anymore. Daddy, please. You betrayed your sister. You helped that man steal from her and lie about our grandson. Dad's voice shakes with rage. I don't know who you are anymore. Esme starts crying, but they're angry tears now. This is all your fault, she screams at me. You couldn't just let us be happy. You had to ruin everything. I didn't ruin anything, I say quietly. I just stopped letting you get away with it. Walter tries one more time. Kendall, I'm begging you. Think about Wally. He needs his father. He needs a father who doesn't lie to judges about his mother. He needs a father who doesn't teach him that it's okay to cheat and steal and manipulate people. I open my car door. Maybe someday you'll be that person, but today isn't that day. As I drive away, I see them in my rearview mirror. Walter and Esme standing in my parents' driveway, holding the wreckage of their carefully laid plans, finally understanding that actions have consequences. My phone buzzes with a text from Mum. We should have protected you. I'm sorry. For the first time in months, I smile a real smile. Monday morning, I'm making Wally pancakes when someone pounds on my front door. The clock on the microwave reads 7:23 a.m. Mummy, who's that? Wally asks, syrup dripping down his chin. Finish your breakfast, baby. I peek through the window and see Walter's car in my driveway. Stay in the kitchen. I open the door but keep the chain lock engaged. Walter looks like he hasn't slept. His hair is messy, his shirt wrinkled, and his eyes are bloodshot. We need to talk, he says. No, we don't. All communication goes through our lawyers now. Kendall, please. I lost my job. They fired me this morning. That's unfortunate. I start to close the door, but he puts his hand against it. You're destroying my life. How am I supposed to pay child support if I don't have income? You should have thought about that before you decided to commit fraud. I never committed fraud. I made some mistakes. You hid $30,000 from the court, Walter. That's fraud. I pull out my phone. And right now, you're violating the restraining order by being here. His face goes pale. What restraining order? The one that was granted along with the emergency custody modification. You're not allowed within 500 feet of me or Wally, except during court-supervised visits. You can't do this to me. I didn't do anything to you. You did it to yourself. I start dialing 911. You have 30 seconds to get off my property before I call the police. Walter backs away from the door, but he doesn't leave. This isn't over, Kendall. I'll fight this in court. I'll prove you're an unfit mother. With what evidence? The fake documentation you and Esme created? I hold up my phone, showing him that I'm recording. Or maybe you'd like to threaten me some more on camera. I'm sure the judge would love to see that. He finally gets in his car and drives away. I lock the door and lean against it, my hand shaking. Mummy, was that Daddy? Wally appears in the hallway, still holding his fork. Yes, baby, but he had to leave. Is he coming to my soccer game on Saturday? My heart breaks a little. I don't think so, sweetheart. Daddy has some grown-up problems he needs to fix first. 20 minutes later, Esme calls. I almost don't answer, but curiosity wins. Kendall, we need to talk. No, we really don't. I'm at Mum and Dad's. They won't let me in the house. Her voice is thick with tears. My own parents won't even look at me. That's between you and them. Please, just meet me somewhere. 5 minutes. I need to explain. Explain what? How you helped Walter steal from me? How you went through my personal mail? How you documented my grief so he could use it against me in court? It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen, Esme? What was the plan? Walter gets full custody, pays me nothing, and you two ride off into the sunset? Silence on the other end. That's exactly what the plan was, I continue. You wanted my life. You wanted my husband, my house, my role in this family. You just didn't want the messy parts, like actually earning any of it. I love him. You love the idea of him. You love the fantasy of being the woman who saved him from his terrible ex-wife, but you don't love him enough to be honest about what you did. I'm trying to be honest now. No, you're trying to manage the damage. There's a difference. I hang up and block her number. That afternoon, I pick Wally up from daycare and take him to the park. He runs straight to the swings, and I push him higher and higher until he's giggling and asking me to push him to the moon. Mummy, why don't you and Daddy live together anymore? I've been dreading this question, but I've also been preparing for it. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt other people, I say carefully. When that happens, sometimes they can't live together anymore. Did Daddy hurt you? Yes, baby, he did. Are you sad? I think about the answer. Am I sad? Or am I something else now? I was sad for a long time, but Now I'm not sad anymore. Now I'm just focused on taking care of you and making sure we're both safe and happy. Are we safe now? We're very safe now. That evening, after Wally goes to bed, I sit on my couch with a cup of tea and look around my small apartment. It's not much. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that barely fits a table for 2. But it's ours. It's honest. It's built on truth instead of lies. My phone buzzes with a text from Tamara. Walter's lawyer filed an emergency motion to reverse the custody order. Court hearing moved to tomorrow at 10 a.m. I text back, "Good, I'm ready." And for the first time in over a year, I actually am. Tuesday morning, I arrive at the courthouse 30 minutes early. Dominic, my lawyer, meets me in the hallway with his briefcase and a confident smile. "Ready for this?" he asks. More than ready. Walter sits across the courtroom with his attorney, a nervous-looking man who keeps shuffling through papers. Walter won't make eye contact with me, but I can see his leg bouncing under the table. "All rise for the Honourable Judge Martinez." Judge Martinez is a woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and zero patience for nonsense. She's heard our case before, and I can tell she remembers Walter's previous testimony. "Mr. Brennan," she says to Walter's lawyer, "you've filed an emergency motion to reverse my custody order. This better be good." Brennan stands up, clearly flustered. "Your Honour, my client believes the evidence presented was obtained illegally." "Which evidence specifically?" "The recordings, Your Honour. Ms. Webb recorded private conversations without consent." "In her own home," Dominic interrupts, standing, "which is perfectly legal in this state. Single-party consent, Your Honour." Judge Martinez nods. "Continue, Mr. Brennan." "Your Honour, my client admits he made some poor choices, but taking away all visitation rights seems extreme." "Poor choices?" Judge Martinez flips through the file in front of her. "Mr. Hicks lied under oath about his income. He hid assets from this court. He conspired with a third party to fabricate evidence about the mother's mental state. These aren't poor choices, counsellor. These are crimes." Walter whispers something to his lawyer, who looks even more uncomfortable. "Your Honour," Brennan says, "my client would like to address the court directly." "I bet he would. Mr. Hicks, stand up." Walter rises on shaky legs. "Your Honour, I know I made mistakes." "Stop, right there." Judge Martinez's voice cuts through the courtroom. "Are you about to lie to me again, Mr. Hicks?" "No, Your Honour, because I have 47 recordings of you planning to lie to me. I have documentation of you hiding money from this court. I have evidence of you coaching witnesses to give false testimony." She leans forward. "So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you about to lie to me?" Walter's face crumbles. "No, Your Honour." "Good. Sit down." Dominic stands. "Your Honour, we have additional evidence we'd like to present." "More recordings?" "A witness, Your Honour. We'd like to call Esme Webb to the stand." I turn around and see Esme sitting in the back of the courtroom. She looks terrible, pale, thin, wearing a wrinkled suit that probably cost more than my car. She stands slowly and walks to the witness stand. "Ms. Webb," the bailiff says, "raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" Esme's voice is barely a whisper. "I do." Dominic approaches her with a folder. "Ms. Webb, you're the defendant's sister, correct?" "Yes." "And you've been in a romantic relationship with Mr. Hicks?" Esme glances at Walter, then at me. "Yes." "For how long?" About 10 months." "While he was still married to your sister?" "Yes." "Did you help Mr. Hicks hide assets from this court?" Esme starts crying. "I didn't mean for it to go so far." "Yes or no, Ms. Webb?" "Yes." "Did you provide false information to Mr. Hicks's attorney about your sister's mental state?" "I was trying to help." Yes or no? Yes. Dominic opens the folder and pulls out a document. Ms. Webb, do you recognise this? Esme looks at the paper and her face goes white. Where did you get that? It's a text message you sent to Mr. Hicks on April 15th. Would you read it aloud for the court? I can't, Your Honour. May I read it? Judge Martinez nods. Quote, she's working late again tonight. Perfect time to go through her mail and get those bank statements. Once we have proof she's bad with money, your lawyer can use it to get full custody. Then we won't have to deal with her anymore. End quote. The courtroom is dead silent except for Esme's sobbing. Ms. Webb, Dominic continues, did you enter your sister's home without permission to steal her personal mail? It wasn't stealing. Did you or did you not take documents from her home and give them to Mr. Hicks's attorney? Yes, but no further questions, Your Honour. Walter's lawyer stands up. Your Honour, your client is done, Judge Martinez says firmly. Mr. Hicks, stand up. Walter rises again, tears streaming down his face. I'm granting the mother's petition for sole physical and legal custody. Mr. Hicks, your visitation rights are suspended indefinitely pending completion of court-ordered counselling and anger management. You will pay full child support based on your actual income, plus back support for the amount you attempted to hide from this court. She looks directly at Walter. And, Mr. Hicks, if you come within 500 feet of Ms. Webb or her son outside of court-approved visitation, I will hold you in contempt. Do you understand me? Yes, Your Honour. Good. This court is adjourned. As everyone files out, I hear Esme's voice behind me. Walter, wait. We can appeal this. Walter's response is loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. We. There is no we, Esme. This is all your fault. If you hadn't pushed me to go after full custody, none of this would have happened. My fault? You're the one who wanted her destroyed. And you're the one who promised me you could make it happen. I don't look back as I walk toward the exit with Dominic. Behind me, I can hear them screaming at each other in the courthouse hallway, their perfect partnership finally falling apart. Outside, Dominic shakes my hand. Congratulations, Kendall, you won. We won, I correct him. Thank you for believing me. As I drive home to pick up Wally from daycare, I realise something has shifted. The weight I've been carrying for months is finally gone. Justice, it turns out, is lighter than I expected. The knock on my door comes on a Thursday evening, while Wally and I are building a blanket fort in the living room. Through the peephole, I see Mom standing on my doorstep with a casserole dish and red eyes. Hi, Mom. Can I come in, please? I open the door wider, and she steps inside, looking around my small apartment like she's seeing it for the first time. Mummy, is that Grandma? Wally pokes his head out from under the blanket fort. Yes, baby. Come say hi. Wally runs over and hugs Mum's legs. She bends down and holds him tight, and I can see her trying not to cry. I brought you dinner, she says, holding up the casserole dish. Your favourite, tuna noodle casserole. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. She follows me into the kitchen and sets the dish on my counter. Kendall, I need to apologise. Mum, no, let me say this. She turns to face me and her voice shakes. I failed you. When you needed your family most, I chose to protect appearances instead of protecting you. Wally tugs on my shirt. Mummy, can Grandma see our fort? Of course, baby. Show her. As Wally drags Mum toward the living room, chattering about his architectural masterpiece, my phone buzzes. Text from Tamara. Esme's been disbarred. Official notice came through today. I delete the message without responding. Some victories don't need to be celebrated. This is amazing, Wally, Mum says, crawling into the blanket fort. Did you build this all by yourself? Mummy helped. We're explorers, and this is our secret base. Mum catches my eye over Wally's head. Your mummy is very good at keeping secrets when she needs to. After Wally goes to bed, Mum and I sit on my couch with cups of tea. The apartment is quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic. "Your father wants to see you," she says. "He's been asking about Wally." "And Esme?" Mum's face hardens. "Esme moved to Portland. She's staying with our cousin Rachel until she figures out what to do next." "Good. Is it good? She's still my daughter, Kendall. She's still your sister. She stopped being my sister when she decided to help Walter steal from me." I set down my teacup. "Mum, she went through my mail. She photographed my bank statements. She documented my grief so Walter could use it against me in court." "I know." Mum wipes her eyes. I keep thinking about when you two were little. You used to protect her from everything. I protected her too much. Maybe if I'd let her face consequences when we were kids, she wouldn't have grown up thinking she could do whatever she wanted without paying for it. Mum nods slowly. "Walter came by the house yesterday." My stomach tightens. "What did he want?" "To ask your father for help getting his job back. Dad told him to get off our property before he called the police." "Good." "He looks terrible, Kendall. Thin, unshaven. I almost felt sorry for him." "Almost?" Then I remembered what he tried to do to you and my grandson. Mum's voice turned steel. "Some things are unforgivable." We sit in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Through the window, I can see kids playing in the courtyard of my apartment complex, their parents watching from nearby benches. "Are you happy?" Mum asks suddenly. I think about the question. Am I happy, or am I something else? "I'm free," I say finally. For the first time in years, I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not wondering what Walter's planning or what Esme's saying behind my back. I'm not trying to fix something that was broken from the beginning. That sounds like happiness to me. Maybe it is. Mom reaches over and squeezes my hand. "I'm proud of you. I should have said that months ago, but I'm saying it now. You fought for your son and you won." "I fought for myself too." "Good. It's about time." After Mom leaves, I check on Wally one more time. He's sleeping peacefully, clutching his stuffed dinosaur, completely unaware of the war that was fought over his future. I walk back to the living room and look at the pictures on my bookshelf. There's one of Wally and me at the zoo, both of us grinning at the camera. Another of him finger painting at daycare, covered in blue paint and absolutely delighted with himself. A third of us building sandcastles at the beach, the sun setting behind us. No pictures of Walter. No pictures of family dinners where I smiled while my sister and my husband planned my destruction. Just pictures of the life I built after I stopped letting other people write my story. My phone buzzes one last time. Text from an unknown number. "This isn't over." I screenshot the message, forward it to Dominic, then block the number. Some people never learn. But I did. I learned that revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet and patient. It's collecting receipts and letting people destroy themselves with their own words. It's walking away while they scream, knowing that the truth is louder than their lies. I learned that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart. Most importantly, I learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. And that's enough.
The notification sound from my phone cut through the morning air like a blade. I was standing in front of the mirror in my childhood bedroom, adjusting the simple pearl necklace that had belonged to my grandmother, when I heard it. My wedding dress hung perfectly. Nothing extravagant, just elegant ivory silk that made me feel beautiful. In 3 hours, I'd be walking down the aisle to marry the love of my life. I shouldn't have looked at my phone. I knew better. But something about that particular ping made my stomach clench. My name is Tatum, and I'm about to tell you about the day that changed everything. The Instagram post was already an hour old. My mother Helen had uploaded a photo of my sister Eloise at some charity luncheon, radiant in a designer dress I knew cost more than most people's rent. The caption read, proud of the daughter who honors the family. Blessed, charm family values. Raising them right. My hands started shaking. Tate, you okay in there? Ariel's voice drifted through the door. My best friend since college had been my rock through everything, and she was the only family member I needed today. Come in, I called, setting the phone face down on the vanity. Ariel stepped inside, stunning in her burgundy maid of honor dress. She took one look at my face and her expression darkened. What did they do now? I handed her the phone without a word. Oh, hell no. Ariel's voice went dangerously quiet as she read. Today? She posted this today? An hour ago. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Ariel scrolled through the comments, her face growing more furious by the second. Tatum, don't read these. Please. But I already had. Aunt Catherine. Some daughters understand loyalty. Cousin Marcus. Glad to see one of Helen's girls turned out right. Uncle David. Tatum always was the difficult one. The difficult one. That phrase had followed me my entire life. Difficult because I asked questions. Difficult because I didn't smile and nod when they criticized my career, my choices, my husband-to-be. Difficult because I refused to pretend their toxic behavior was normal. Where's Blaze? I asked, needing to see his face, to remember why I was doing this despite the empty chairs that should have held my parents. Getting ready with his groomsmen. He doesn't know about this yet. Ariel sat beside me on the bed. Tate, you don't have to let them ruin this day. They already have. I stared at my reflection. The woman looking back at me had spent 32 years trying to earn love that was never going to come. Do you know what the worst part is? I actually thought they might surprise me. That maybe, just maybe, they'd show up. Their loss, Ariel said fiercely. Blaze's family loves you. I love you. That's what matters. I picked up my phone again, scrolling through more comments. Extended family members I barely spoke to were weighing in, all of them taking sides, all of them choosing Eloise. Look at this, I said, showing Ariel a comment from my mother's sister. Catherine says I'm an embarrassment to the family name, because I'm marrying a contractor instead of a lawyer, because I didn't go to their precious country club wedding last month. You were working, Ariel reminded me. That project launch couldn't wait. It doesn't matter. Nothing I do will ever be enough. I stood up, smoothing down my dress. You know what? I'm done caring. Ariel's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and winced. Tate. What now? Your mom just shared the post to Facebook. It's getting more comments. I took the phone and read the new messages. More family members chiming in. More people who hadn't spoken to me in years suddenly having opinions about my life choices. Then I saw it. A comment from my father, Matthew. Eloise has always been our pride and joy. Some children understand what family means. The words hit me like a physical blow. Today, on my wedding day, they were publicly disowning me while I was getting ready to walk down the aisle. That's it. I set the phone down with deliberate calm. I'm done. Done with what? I looked at Ariel, and for the first time in hours, I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was something else entirely. They're about to learn who I really am. Ariel studied my face. Tatum, what are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said, picking up my bouquet, that some lessons are a long time coming. The church bells started ringing in the distance. It was time. The wedding was beautiful. Blaze's family filled the church with warmth and laughter, and when I walked down that aisle, his face lit up like I was the only person in the world. We danced, we celebrated, and for a few precious hours, I almost forgot about the empty chairs in the front row. But the next morning, reality came crashing back. Coffee's ready, Blaze called from the kitchen of our apartment. We'd decided to postpone the honeymoon for a few weeks, wanting to settle into married life first. I padded out in my pajamas, still wearing my wedding ring, still feeling like I was floating, until I saw the stack of mail on the counter. "Bank statement came," Blaze said, kissing my forehead. "And something from your parents' mortgage company." My stomach dropped. I'd been dreading this moment for 2 years. "Tate, you okay?" I picked up the envelope with shaking hands. It was addressed to me, not them, because I was the one who'd been paying their mortgage since Dad lost his pension in that investment scandal. "I need to tell you something," I said, sinking onto a bar stool. Blaze set down his coffee mug. "What's wrong?" "Remember when I told you my dad was doing well financially? That they owned their house outright?" "Yeah, that was a lie. Well, not my lie. Theirs." I opened the envelope, scanning the payment confirmation. Dad lost everything 2 years ago. Bad investments. Some kind of Ponzi scheme. They were about to lose the house. Blaze stared at me. "Tatum, what did you do?" "I took over the mortgage payments. Anonymously. They think it's some kind of bank error or restructuring deal." I laughed bitterly. They've been bragging to their friends about their financial acumen ever since. Jesus Christ. Blaze ran his hands through his hair. "How much?" $3,000 a month. For 2 years. $72,000. His voice was flat. "You've given them $72,000, and they don't even know it. They would never have accepted help from me. You know that. I'm the difficult daughter, remember?" Blaze sat down across from me. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd try to talk me out of it. And because—" I trailed off, staring at the payment stub. "Because I kept hoping that maybe if I proved I was reliable, if I showed them I could take care of them, they'd finally see me as worthy. And instead, they skipped your wedding to publicly humiliate you on social media." "Pretty much." Blaze was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and took my hand. "What do you want to do?" I pulled out my laptop and logged into my banking app. The automatic payment was scheduled for next week. My finger hovered over the cancel button. "They posted that photo while I was getting ready to marry you," I said quietly. "They chose yesterday, of all days, to make it clear that I'm not their daughter." "Not really." "So cancel it. It's not that simple. They'll lose the house. That's not your problem anymore." I stared at the screen. $72,000. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd love me enough to show up for the most important day of my life. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "Last month, at Eloise's country club wedding, Mom cornered me in the bathroom. She said I was selfish for not being there for family events, that I didn't understand what loyalty meant. While you were literally paying for their house. While I was literally paying for their house." I clicked cancel on the automatic payment. "But I'm not done yet." Blaze raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" I opened the account settings and scrolled to the payment memo section. For 2 years, it had been blank. But now I typed, "Funding provided by the difficult daughter." Tatum? They want to know what loyalty looks like? They're about to find out. I hit save and closed the laptop. The next payment would have been due in 5 days. When it doesn't go through, they'll get a notice. And when they call the bank to ask why, they'll see that memo. Blaze was quiet for a moment. "Are you sure about this?" I thought about the empty chairs at my wedding, about the Instagram post, about 32 years of being treated like I was broken, difficult, wrong. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. My phone buzzed with a text from Ariel. "How are you feeling today, Mrs. Walton?" I smiled, typing back, like I'm finally free. But I wasn't free yet. Not completely. There was still one more thing I needed to do. 3 weeks later, the envelope arrived. I was working from home when the mail carrier knocked. "Certified letter," he said, handing me the clipboard to sign. "Needs to go to a Matthew Fletcher, but it's being forwarded to this address." My heart hammered as I signed my name. The return address made my mouth go dry. First National Bank, Foreclosure Department. Thanks, I managed, closing the door with shaking hands. The envelope was thick, official-looking. I knew what was inside before I even opened it. Final notice of foreclosure. 30 days to bring the account current or face eviction proceedings. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the letter. The amount due was staggering. Not just the missed payment, but late fees, legal costs, processing charges. Nearly $4,000. My phone rang. Blaze. Hey, how's your day going? His voice was warm, normal. He had no idea I was holding the nuclear bomb that would destroy my parents' carefully constructed life. Interesting, I said. The foreclosure notice came. Silence. Then, Jesus, how do you feel? Honestly? Terrified and exhilarated and sick to my stomach. You don't have to do anything with it, you know. You could just let it sit there. I walked to my desk and pulled out a manila envelope. No, I'm done letting things sit. What are you going to do? I spread the foreclosure notice on my desk, then opened my laptop. It took me 30 seconds to find Mom's Instagram post from my wedding day. I screenshotted it, printed it out, and grabbed a red pen. Tatum? I'm here. I circled the words, honors the family, in red ink, then drew an arrow pointing to it. In the margin, I wrote, define honor. What are you doing? Sending them a care package. I folded the Instagram printout and slipped it into the envelope with the foreclosure notice. They want to know what family loyalty looks like? They're about to get a masterclass. I pulled out a piece of my personal stationery. The expensive kind Mom had always insisted was proper. And wrote, Dear Mom and Dad, I thought you might find this interesting reading. Maybe perfect daughters come with deep pockets. Love, your difficult daughter. Tatum, are you sure about this? I sealed the note in with the other papers. They made their choice on my wedding day. Now they get to live with the consequences. But I wasn't finished. I walked to my bedroom and pulled out the wedding album Ariel had rushed to get printed. I flipped to my favorite photo, Blaze and me during our first dance, both of us laughing at something he'd whispered in my ear. We looked so happy, so in love. I slipped the photo into the envelope. What was that? Blaze asked. A reminder of what they missed. I addressed the envelope to my parents' house, the house I'd been paying for, and walked to the mailbox before I could change my mind. The next morning, Ariel called. Did you see your mom's Facebook? She asked without preamble. No, I deleted the app. Why? She posted some cryptic quote about betrayal and ungrateful children. Very passive-aggressive, even for her. I laughed. They got my package. What package? I told her everything. The foreclosure notice, the Instagram printout, the wedding photo. Holy shit, Tatum. You really did it. I really did it. How do you feel? I thought about it. Like I'm finally fighting back instead of just taking it. Good. It's about time. Ariel paused. But you know they're going to call, right? Probably today. As if on cue, my phone started buzzing. Mom's number. Speak of the devil, I said. Are you going to answer? I watched the phone ring. And ring, and ring. Nope. It went to voicemail. Then immediately started ringing again. They're persistent, Ariel said. They're desperate. I turned the phone face down. Let them sweat. The phone rang 6 more times over the next hour. Each time, I let it go to voicemail. I didn't listen to the messages. Around noon, Eloise called. Tatum, what the hell did you send Mom and Dad? The truth. They're freaking out. Mom's been crying all morning, and Dad locked himself in his office. Maybe they should have thought about that before they publicly humiliated me. This is about your wedding? Tatum, that was just a misunderstanding. No. My voice was steel. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. They chose to skip my wedding and shame me online instead. Now they get to live with what that choice cost them. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest. For the first time in my life. Eloise was quiet for a moment. What do you want from them? Nothing. That's the point. Tatum, please. They're your parents. Are they? Because parents show up for their children. Parents don't publicly humiliate them. Parents don't treat them like they're broken. I hung up and turned off my phone. The war had officially begun. Helen was having brunch with her book club when the envelope arrived. I know this because Ariel's mom, Sandra, was there, and Sandra called Ariel the moment it happened. Your mom opened a manila envelope right there at the table, Sandra told Ariel over the phone. She went completely white, like scary white. Then she started shaking. Ariel had me on three-way calling. What did she do? She shoved everything back in the envelope and said she had to leave. Emergency at home. But not before I saw her hands trembling so bad she could barely hold her coffee cup. I felt a twisted satisfaction hearing this. For 32 years, my mother had been the picture of composure. Nothing rattled Helen. Nothing made her lose control in public. Did you see what was in the envelope? I asked. Just a glimpse. Some kind of official document. And a photo that looked like it was from a wedding. After Sandra hung up, Ariel whistled low. Damn, Tate, you really got to her. Good. What I didn't know was that Mom had been lying to her book club friends for 2 years. She'd been telling them that Dad's early retirement was planned, that they'd paid off their mortgage and were living comfortably on investments. She'd even bragged about their financial advisor, who'd restructured their payments to practically nothing. Now she was sitting in her car outside the restaurant, staring at a foreclosure notice that proved every word was a lie. According to Eloise, who called me that evening despite my phone being off, Mom came home in full panic mode. She was hyperventilating, Eloise said when I finally turned my phone back on. Dad had to get her a paper bag to breathe into. Dramatic as always. Tatum, this isn't funny. They're talking about losing the house. They are losing the house. That's what happens when you don't pay your mortgage. But you were paying it. For 2 years. Was. Past tense. Eloise was quiet for a moment. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That Dad was in trouble. That you were helping them. I laughed bitterly. When would I have told you? At your country club wedding that I missed because of work. Or maybe during one of our heart-to-heart conversations that never happen because you only call when there's drama. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I've been keeping your parents afloat for 2 years while they treated me like garbage. And you want to lecture me about fair? They're your parents too. Are they? Because they sure didn't act like it on my wedding day. I could hear Eloise crying. Tatum, please. They made a mistake, but this is too much. They could end up homeless. They have 30 days to figure it out. They don't have $4,000. Then maybe they should ask their perfect daughter for help. The line went quiet. Then Eloise whispered, I don't have it either. What? Brendan and we're maxed out on credit cards. The wedding, the honeymoon, the new car. We're drowning. This was news to me. Golden child Eloise, who'd never wanted for anything, was broke. How broke? $23,000 in credit card debt. We can barely make minimum payments. I sat down hard on my couch. Jesus, Eloise. We were hoping Dad would help us consolidate, but now? She started crying harder. Now I find out he's been broke this whole time, and I've been the one keeping him afloat. Why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked. None of you ever asked how I was doing, what I needed, if I was okay. You just assumed I was fine, because I'm the difficult one who doesn't need anyone. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you called just to check on me? When's the last time Mom asked about my job, my life, my happiness? Eloise couldn't answer. They're having an emergency family meeting tomorrow, she said finally. They want you there. Of course they do, now that they need something. Will you come? I looked around my apartment, my safe space, my sanctuary away from their toxicity. Yeah, I said. I'll come. Really? Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world. After I hung up, Blaze came home from work to find me sitting in the dark. How'd it go? He asked, flipping on the lights. Better than expected. Apparently, perfect daughter Eloise is $23,000 in debt and can't help mommy and daddy. Blaze sat beside me. How do you feel about that? Like karma's working overtime. And the family meeting? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. The family meeting was set for Sunday at 2 p.m. I showed up at 2:15, just late enough to make a point. Mom answered the door, looking like she'd aged 5 years in 3 days. Her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wasn't wearing makeup. Tatum, thank God you're here. Helen. I walked past her into the living room where Dad and Eloise were sitting on the couch. Brendan was in the armchair, looking uncomfortable. Don't I get a hug? Mom asked. No. The room went silent. I sat in the chair across from them, crossing my legs and waiting. Dad cleared his throat. Tatum, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? The mortgage situation. There seems to be some confusion about the payments. I laughed. Confusion? Dad, I've been paying your mortgage for 2 years. There's no confusion. That's impossible. The bank restructured our loan. The bank didn't restructure anything. I took over your payments when you lost your pension in that investment scam. Mom's face crumpled. How did you know about that? I'm not stupid, Helen. You think I didn't notice when Dad suddenly retired and you started shopping at Target instead of Nordstrom? We were going to tell you. When? After you lost the house? After you'd exhausted every other option? Eloise leaned forward. Tatum, they were embarrassed. They didn't want to burden you. Burden me? I'm their daughter. But apparently, I'm only useful when you need money. That's not true, Dad said. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Want to see the receipts? $72,000 over 2 years. Every month, like clockwork. Brendan whistled low. 72 grand? Brendan, Eloise hissed. What? That's more than I make in a year. I looked at him. Speaking of money, how's that credit card debt treating you? His face went red. That's none of your business. Nothing's my business until you need me to fix it. Mom started crying. Tatum, please. We're sorry about the wedding. We made a mistake. A mistake? You publicly humiliated me on the most important day of my life. You chose to skip my wedding to post about how wonderful Eloise is. We were upset about you missing Eloise's engagement party. I was working. I had a project launch that couldn't wait. But even if I'd been free, since when is missing a party grounds for skipping your daughter's wedding? Dad stood up. You've always been difficult, Tatum. Always stirring up drama. Difficult? I've been bankrolling your lifestyle for 2 years without asking for so much as a thank you. And I'm difficult? We didn't ask you to do that. Because you didn't know I was doing it. You thought some magical bank fairy was paying your bills. I stood up and walked to the mantel where they kept their family photos. Every single one featured Eloise prominently. I was in maybe 3 of them, always in the background. You want to know what difficult looks like? I turned back to face them. Difficult is finding out your parents are about to lose their house and taking over their mortgage payments without being asked. Difficult is watching them brag to their friends about their financial success while you're the one funding it. Difficult is hoping that maybe, just maybe, if you prove yourself useful enough, they'll finally love you. We do love you, Mom whispered. No, you don't. You love what I can do for you. There's a difference. I walked back to my chair and sat down. But here's the thing. I'm done being useful. Tatum, please, Eloise said. They'll lose everything. They lost me first. I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila folder. Since we're having a family meeting, I thought you might want to see these. I dropped the folder on the coffee table. It landed with a heavy thud. What is that? Dad asked. 2 years of financial records, bank statements, payment confirmations, email exchanges where you begged me for help before I started paying anonymously. Mom's face went white. You kept records? I keep records of everything, including the emails where you called me selfish for not contributing more to family events, while I was literally paying for your house. Dad reached for the folder, but I snatched it back. These are copies. I have the originals safely stored. What do you want? Brendan asked. I want you to stop pretending I'm the problem. I want you to admit that the difficult daughter was the only thing standing between you and homelessness. Fine, Dad said through gritted teeth. You helped us. Thank you. Now can we move forward? Move forward? Dad, you have 26 days before the sheriff shows up with eviction papers. So help us, Mom pleaded. I stood up and headed for the door. I already did, for 2 years, and you repaid me by skipping my wedding. Tatum, wait. I turned back one last time. You know what the funny thing is? If you'd just shown up to my wedding, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I would have kept paying forever, just grateful for the crumbs of affection you threw my way. I opened the door. But you couldn't even give me that. So that's it? Eloise called after me. You're just going to let them lose everything? I'm not letting them do anything. They did this to themselves. I walked to my car, leaving them sitting in the house I'd been paying for, finally understanding exactly who their difficult daughter really was. I was halfway home when my phone rang. Unknown number. Tatum, it's Catherine, Mom's sister. I hadn't spoken to her since Christmas 2 years ago. Hi, Catherine. Can we meet? I have something you need to know. About what? About your family. About Brendan. About things that aren't what they seem. I pulled into a Starbucks parking lot. What kind of things? Not over the phone. Can you meet me at the diner on 5th Street? The one near the old movie theater? When? Now. 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from my aunt in a cracked vinyl booth. Catherine looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I should have called you sooner, she said, but I didn't know how bad things had gotten until today. What are you talking about? Helen called me after your meeting. She's desperate, Tatum, begging me to talk sense into you. And I told her she made her bed. Catherine leaned forward. But there's something else. Something about Brendan that your sister doesn't know. My stomach clenched. What about him? He's been pawning things. Family heirlooms. Your grandmother's jewelry that was supposed to go to you and Eloise. What? I saw him at Murphy's pawn shop last month. He was selling your grandmother's pearl necklace. The one she wore in her wedding photo. I felt sick. Does Eloise know? I don't think so. But that's not all. Catherine pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. I followed him after that. He went to 3 more pawn shops that day. The photo showed Brendan coming out of a shop with a satisfied look on his face. How long has this been going on? At least 6 months. Maybe longer. Catherine put her phone away. Your parents think he's this perfect son-in-law, but he's been stealing from the family to pay off his debts. Jesus Christ. There's more. I have a friend who works at the bank. She told me Brendan tried to get a loan using your parents' house as collateral. Last week. He what? He forged Matthew's signature on a loan application. $50,000. The only reason it didn't go through was because the house is already in foreclosure. I stared at her. You're telling me that while my parents are about to lose their house, their perfect son-in-law is trying to steal it out from under them? That's exactly what I'm telling you. My phone buzzed. Text from Eloise. Can we talk? Privately? I showed Catherine the message. Speak of the devil. Are you going to tell her? I don't know. Maybe she should hear it from you. She won't believe me. You know how she is about Brendan. Catherine was right. Eloise worshipped her husband. She'd never believe he was capable of this. I texted back, "Meet me at the park on Elm Street. 1 hour." Catherine grabbed my hand. "Tatum, I know I haven't been the best aunt. I should have stood up for you more over the years." "Why didn't you?" "Because it was easier to go along with Helen's version of things. But watching what happened at your wedding, seeing how they treated you, I can't stay quiet anymore." "What changed your mind?" "You did. The way you handled that family meeting today. You didn't scream or throw a tantrum. You just laid out the facts and walked away. That took strength." I felt tears prick my eyes. "I'm tired of being strong." "I know. But you're the only one in this family who sees things clearly." An hour later, I was sitting on a park bench watching Eloise walk toward me. She looked exhausted, her usually perfect appearance disheveled. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, sitting down. "What do you want, Eloise?" "I want to apologize. For everything. For the wedding. For not standing up for you. For being a terrible sister." "Okay. That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say? That it's fine? That I forgive you?" "Because I don't." Eloise started crying. "I know I don't deserve it, but I need your help." "With what?" "I'm pregnant." I stared at her. "What?" 8 weeks. I found out yesterday." "Congratulations." "Tatum, I can't bring a baby into this mess. Brendan and I are drowning in debt. My parents are about to be homeless. And I just found out," she trailed off. "Found out what?" "That Brendan's been lying to me. About everything. The debt is worse than he told me. Much worse." I thought about what Catherine had said. About the pawned jewelry and the forged loan application. How much worse? 40,000. Maybe more. He's been hiding credit cards from me. "Eloise, there's something else you need to know." "What?" I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. For the first time in years, she seemed vulnerable. Human. "Brendan's been stealing from the family." "That's impossible. Catherine saw him pawning Grandma's jewelry. He tried to take out a loan against Mom and Dad's house without their permission." Eloise went very still. "You're lying." "I wish I was." She buried her face in her hands. "Oh God, what am I going to do?" For the first time in my life, I felt sorry for my sister. The golden child was finally seeing that her perfect life was built on lies. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but you have a choice to make." "What choice?" "You can keep playing the victim, or you can finally tell the truth." 2 weeks later, the eviction notice was posted on my parents' front door. I know because Georgia Walton, their nosy neighbor, took a photo and posted it on the neighborhood Facebook group with the caption, "Sad to see the house on Maple Street getting foreclosed. I thought the family was doing well." The post got 43 comments in 2 hours. By evening, it had been shared to 3 other local groups. Ariel called me at work. "Tate, you need to see this. It's everywhere." "What's everywhere?" "The foreclosure. Someone posted a picture of the notice on your parents' door. People are talking." I pulled up Facebook on my work computer. The comments were brutal. Didn't they just throw a huge wedding for their daughter? I heard Matthew was bragging about his investments at the country club last month. Helen was posting vacation photos from Napa just last week. Guess that financial advisor wasn't so great after all. I scrolled through dozens of comments from people I'd grown up with, neighbors, family friends. Everyone was speculating about what had happened. Then I saw Mom's response, posted an hour ago. "This is a temporary situation due to banking errors. We're working with our legal team to resolve it quickly. Thank you for your concern." Banking errors. Even now, she couldn't tell the truth. My phone rang. "Dad. Tatum, you need to fix this." Fix what? This social media nightmare. People are calling us, asking questions. Your mother is humiliated. Maybe she should have thought about that before she humiliated me. This is different. This is public. So was your Instagram post about Eloise being the daughter who honors the family. That was a mistake. No, Dad. This is karma. I hung up and went back to work. But I couldn't concentrate. Every few minutes, I found myself refreshing the Facebook post, watching the comments multiply. At 3 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Eloise. I need to see you. Emergency. I found her sitting in her car outside my office building, crying so hard she could barely speak. Eloise, what happened? I confronted Brendan. About the jewelry, about the loan application, about everything. And he didn't deny it. He said he was trying to protect me from the stress. She wiped her nose with a tissue. Then he said it was all your fault anyway. My fault? He said if you hadn't stopped paying the mortgage, none of this would have happened. That you're destroying the family out of spite. I felt my anger flare. And what did you say? I told him he was wrong. That you'd been supporting Mom and Dad for years while they treated you like garbage. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I told him I was ashamed of how we'd all treated you. How did he take that? He said I was choosing you over him. That I was being manipulated. She started crying again. So I left. Left? I packed a bag and left. I'm staying at Catherine's. I stared at my sister. In 32 years, I'd never seen her stand up to anyone. What about the baby? I don't know. I can't think about that right now. She pulled out her phone. Tatum, I want to do something, but I need to know you're okay with it. What? I want to tell the truth. Publicly. About everything. Eloise. No, listen. I've been complicit in this lie for too long. People deserve to know that you're not the villain here. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. For you. For me. For this baby. She put her hand on her stomach. I don't want to raise a child in a family built on lies. That evening I was making dinner when Blaze came home with a strange look on his face. You need to see this, he said, handing me his phone. It was a Facebook post from Eloise, posted 20 minutes ago. The caption was long, raw, and brutally honest. I need to tell the truth about something. My family's losing our childhood home, and people are speculating about why. The truth is, my father lost his pension 2 years ago in bad investments. My sister Tatum has been secretly paying their mortgage ever since, without any recognition or thanks. She's given them over $70,000 of her own money, while they criticized her life choices and treated her like she was broken. When she got married 3 weeks ago, my parents chose to skip her wedding and instead posted on social media about how I was the good daughter. That same day, Tatum stopped the payments. Not out of spite, but because she finally realized she deserved better. I have been complicit in a lie that painted my sister as difficult when she was actually the only thing keeping our family afloat. I'm ashamed of how we treated her, and I'm sorry it took losing everything for me to find the courage to speak up. The post already had 67 comments and 23 shares. Holy shit, I whispered. Keep reading, Blaze said. I scrolled through the comments. They were overwhelmingly supportive of me and critical of my parents. Tatum sounds like a saint. Your parents should be ashamed. I always thought there was more to the story. Good for you for telling the truth. My phone started ringing. Mom. I looked at Blaze. Should I answer? That's up to you, I answered. Hello, Helen. How could you let her do this? Mom was screaming. How could you let her destroy us like this? I didn't let her do anything. She made her own choice. She's ruining our reputation. Your reputation was built on lies. Eloise just told the truth. Please, Tatum, make her take it down. I'm begging you. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. I'm done protecting you from the consequences of your actions. You're our daughter, am I? Because for 32 years, you've made it pretty clear that I'm not the daughter you wanted. I hung up and turned off my phone. The truth was finally out there. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Eloise's post went viral overnight. By morning, it had been shared over 500 times and picked up by 3 local news outlets. The story had everything people loved: family drama, financial secrets, and a clear villain-victim dynamic. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Jesus, Blaze said, looking at his own phone. Channel 7 wants to interview you. Not happening. Good call. I scrolled through the messages. Most were supportive, but a few family members were furious. Uncle David, you've destroyed this family. Cousin Marcus, this was private business. But then I saw one that made me smile. From my old college roommate, always knew you were the strong one. Proud of you. At 9 a.m. there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find my parents standing on my doorstep. Dad looked defeated. Mom looked desperate. We need to talk, Dad said. No, we don't. Tatum, please. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. I know we messed up, but we're still your parents. Are you? Because parents don't skip their daughter's wedding. Parents don't publicly humiliate their children. Parents don't take money for years without even saying thank you. We didn't know you were paying. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Dad stepped forward. What do you want from us? An apology? Fine. We're sorry. We're sorry we missed your wedding. We're sorry we took you for granted. We're sorry we favored Eloise. You think this is about an apology? Isn't it? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Dad, you only love me when I'm useful to you, when I'm paying your bills or fixing your problems. The moment I stopped being useful, you wrote me off. That's not true. Then why are you here? Why now? Is it because you suddenly realized you love me? Or because Eloise's post made you look bad? Neither of them answered. That's what I thought. Mom started crying. Tatum, we're going to lose everything. The house, our reputation, our friends. Please, you lost me first. Everything else is just stuff. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. For the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first instead of trying to earn love that was never going to come. My phone rang. Eloise. I should take this, I said, stepping back inside and closing the door. Tatum, are you okay? I saw Mom and Dad's car in your driveway. They're on my porch begging for help. Are you going to help them? No. Good. Eloise's voice was stronger than I'd heard it in years. I filed for divorce this morning. Eloise? Brendan cleaned out our joint account yesterday, took the last $3,000 and disappeared. Catherine's lawyer thinks he's fled the state. I'm sorry? Don't be. I'm finally seeing clearly. She paused. I wanted to ask you something. What? Would you be my baby's godmother? I know I don't deserve it, but I want my child to know what real strength looks like. I felt tears prick my eyes. Yes. Thank you. For everything. For being the sister I should have been. After we hung up, I opened the door. My parents were still standing there. We heard you talking to Eloise, Mom said. Is it true about Brendan? Ask her yourself. Tatum, please. We have nowhere else to go. You have each other. That's more than you gave me. Dad's face hardened. Fine. But don't expect us to come crawling back when you realize what you've done. I won't. They walked away without another word. That evening, Ariel came over with champagne and takeout. How are you feeling? She asked, settling onto my couch. Free, sad, relieved, guilty, all at once. The guilt will pass. Will it? Tate, you gave them everything for 2 years. Your money, your energy, your hope. They gave you nothing but criticism and rejection. You don't owe them anything else. We ate in comfortable silence, watching the sun set through my living room window. I'm deleting all my social media, I said finally. Good idea. I pulled out my phone and opened Facebook one last time. Before deactivating my account, I posted a single photo, my wedding picture with Blaze, both of us laughing during our first dance. The caption read, "Built my life on love, not lies." I hit post and then deleted the app. My phone buzzed with a message notification. Unknown number. I need to see you. Eloise. I showed the message to Ariel. What do you think she wants? Only one way to find out. I typed back. When? Tomorrow. I have something to give you. I set the phone aside and looked around my apartment. My home, my sanctuary. For the first time in 32 years, I didn't have to worry about anyone else's approval or disappointment. You know what? I said to Ariel. I think I'm going to be okay. I know you are. Outside it started to rain, but inside I was finally warm.
The Instagram notification lit up my phone. Live from the Airbnb is live. Cutest vintage bedroom ever. I clicked it before I could stop myself, watching a stranger twirl in what used to be my room. My books were gone, my Polaroids, my entire childhood, replaced by farmhouse chic decor and a family of 4 unpacking their suitcases onto my old quilted bed. I'm Nora, and this is how I learned I'd been erased from my own home. 3 hours earlier, I'd pulled into our driveway after a grueling finals week, expecting the usual cold shoulder from Mom, but at least a bed to sleep in. Instead, I found an SUV with Ohio plates and my mother's practice smile, the one she usually reserved for church gatherings and PTA meetings. Nora, sweetheart, why didn't you call first? Her voice carried that artificial sweetness that always meant trouble. I hefted my duffel bag. My finals finished early. Thought I'd surprise you. Well, this is inconvenient. She glanced nervously at the house. We have guests. Guests? In my room? The Airbnb guests. They're here for the week. She said it like she was telling me we were having pasta for dinner. Casual, matter of fact. Your father and I had to make some adjustments after Tyron's non-situation. My brother's name hit like a punch to the gut. Tyron, the golden child, who'd gambled away $80,000 at some underground casino and expected the family to clean up his mess. Again, where am I supposed to sleep? The basement has a cot. She wouldn't meet my eyes. It's temporary, dear. We all need to support the family right now. I stood there, keys digging into my palm. You rented out my room without telling me? It was a family emergency. Her voice hardened. Tyron needed help. And where is he sleeping? In his room, of course. He needs stability right now. Of course. Heaven forbid the prodigal son sleep next to the water heater. I shouldered past her into the house, nearly colliding with a cheerful woman in yoga pants. Oh, you must be the daughter, she beamed. Your mom's told us so much about this being your old room. It's absolutely adorable. I couldn't speak. Through the open door, I saw my walls, once covered in science fair ribbons and acceptance letters, now decorated with generic inspirational quotes and fairy lights. A Live, Laugh, Love sign hung where my MIT acceptance letter used to be. The basement's through there, Mom pointed, already turning to the guest. Karen, let me show you where the extra towels are. The basement smelled like mildew and dog food. A military-style cot sat between boxes of Christmas decorations and old tax returns. My brother's gaming chair was stored down here too, pristine in its dust cover. Protected, unlike my memories, which apparently had a price tag. I made the cot hands shaking. Above, I could hear footsteps, strangers walking across my floorboards, probably taking selfies in front of my window seat. The window seat where I'd studied for the SATs, dreamed of escape, and cried when Dad lost his job senior year. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyron. Heard you're home. Don't make drama about the room thing. Mom and Dad are doing their best. Their best? Right. I opened my laptop and checked my bank account. $2,473.89. Not enough for an apartment, but enough for a few weeks at the Extended Stay America off Route 9. I started packing. Nora, Dad's voice from the stairs. Your mother says you're upset. Upset? I laughed, but it came out wrong. Why would I be upset that my room's being rented to strangers while Tyron gets to keep his? He's going through a rough patch. When isn't he? Dad sighed that heavy sigh he always used when he wanted to end a conversation. We're all making sacrifices. No, Dad. You and Mom are sacrificing me. There's a difference. I grabbed my bags and headed for the stairs. He didn't try to stop me. Mom caught me at the front door. Where are you going? To support the family, I said, voice dripping acid, by getting out of the way. Don't be dramatic. It's just a room. I turned to face her. It was my room, my space, my home. But you know what? Keep it. Keep the Airbnb money. Keep enabling Tyron. I'm done. That night, I parked behind the 24-hour Walmart and reclined my seat as far as it would go. My phone kept lighting up with texts from Mom, each one more guilt-trippy than the last. I blocked her number. The Instagram Live was still going. The family's teenage daughter was showing off her vintage vanity, my vanity, where I'd gotten ready for prom, where I'd practiced my valedictorian speech. This is so aesthetic, she squealed. I closed the app and opened my banking app instead, transferred every penny I had into a new account at a different bank. Then I opened my course catalog and switched my minor from art history to computer science. If they wanted to erase me, fine. I'd rebuild myself into someone they couldn't ignore, someone they'd regret undervaluing, someone who'd make them pay. 12 years can change everything and nothing at all. The house next door to my parents still had that hideous yellow paint, though now it was peeling. The realtor's sign in the front yard read, "Reduced price, motivated seller," in desperate red letters. You sure about this? Athena asked, her Tesla idling in the street. There are nicer neighborhoods. I smiled, watching the delivery truck pull up with my new security system. This one's perfect. Perfect because my parents' Airbnb business was flourishing. Perfect because Tyron still lived at home. Perfect because they had no idea their prodigal daughter was now worth 8 figures after selling her logistics AI startup. The cameras go there, and there. I directed the installation team, pointing to strategic spots that would capture every inch of my parents' property. Make sure they're visible. I want them to know they're being watched. Athena shook her head. Remind me never to cross you. The next week, I hosted my first tech entrepreneur networking event. 100 of the most influential people in the industry, all in my backyard. Music just loud enough to be annoying, but not enough to justify a noise complaint. Fairy lights everywhere, the expensive kind that made everything look Instagram-worthy. Your neighbors must love these parties, said Fabian, a real estate agent I'd met through the local business network. He was watching my parents' house, where curtains twitched every few minutes. Haven't met them, I lied smoothly. They run some kind of hotel business, I think. Ah, Airbnb hosts. He rolled his eyes. Half of them are running illegal operations. No permits, no safety inspections. I sipped my sparkling water. Really? How interesting. The party went late. As guests left, their Ubers and Teslas clogged the narrow street. I stood on my porch, watching my mother's silhouette pace behind her kitchen window. She hadn't recognized me yet. Amazing what different clothes and a decade of success could do. At 3 a.m., movement on my security feed caught my attention. Tyron, sneaking out the back door. He was limping, holding his side like it hurt. In the infrared camera's glow, I could see bruising around his eye. I zoomed in, frowning. This wasn't the first time I'd seen him injured. Last week it was a split lip. Before that, scraped knuckles. My phone buzzed, a notification from the neighborhood app. Someone complaining about my parties. The username made me smile. Proud Momo F2. Mom always did love that screen name. I typed a response. So sorry for any inconvenience. Just trying to build community spirit. Speaking of which, does anyone know if the yellow house next door is properly licensed for short-term rentals? Asking for insurance purposes? The responses rolled in immediately. Other neighbors had been wondering the same thing. Someone tagged the city council's account. Perfect. The next morning, I had my assistant schedule daily deliveries. Everything from furniture to groceries, all arriving at different times. The trucks would block their driveway, forcing Airbnb guests to park on the street. Your 9 a.m. is here, my home's AI system announced. I opened the door to find my mother standing there, perfectly coiffed but with shadows under her eyes. She didn't recognize me at first, her practiced smile frozen as she extended a plate of cookies. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Samantha from next door. I let the silence stretch until her smile cracked slightly. Mom, I said finally, you look well. The cookie plate nearly dropped. Nora? But how? Money, I said simply. Lots of it. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not enabling someone else's addiction. Her face hardened. If you've come to cause trouble. Trouble? I'm just being a good neighbor, having friends over, supporting the local economy. I glanced at her house. How's the Airbnb business? Must be doing well, since you never sold my room back. Your brother is still living at home, still gambling? Or has he found new ways to disappoint you? She straightened her spine. You don't understand our situation. No, I understood perfectly 12 years ago. Nothing's changed except now I have the power to do something about it. A delivery truck honked, trying to navigate around an Airbnb guest's car. Mom flinched. The cookies look lovely, I said, not taking the plate. But I'm gluten-free now. Success does that to you. I closed the door on her shocked face and watched through my security feed as she walked back, shoulders stiff. As she reached her porch, Tyron emerged from the side of the house. They spoke briefly, him gesturing angrily, her shaking her head. He looked up directly at my camera, and for a moment, I saw something in his eyes that wasn't anger. Was it relief? My phone buzzed, a text from Fabian. City Inspector's office just received an anonymous complaint about unpermitted short-term rentals in your area. Interesting timing. I smiled, watching another delivery truck pull up. This was just the beginning. They thought they'd erase me, replace me with paying guests and pretty decor. But I learned something they hadn't. Silence builds the strongest weapons, and I'd had 12 years to perfect mine. Through my window, I watched Tyron limp back inside, and for the first time, I wondered what other secrets that house held besides mine. Your parents' Airbnb listing has 400 reviews, Fabian said, scrolling through his phone. We were sitting in my home office, surrounded by screens showing various security camera feeds. That's impressive for an unlicensed operation. I leaned back in my chair. Show me the reviews. Mostly positive. Charming vintage room. Lovely hosts. Quaint neighborhood vibes. He paused. Though there's been an uptick in noise complaints recently. How unfortunate, I said, watching a delivery truck block their driveway for the third time that day. Fabian gave me a knowing look. You know, as a real estate agent, I should probably discourage whatever psychological warfare you're waging. But as someone who's dealt with entitled Airbnb hosts, he grinned, I might have some suggestions. Over the next hour, Fabian walked me through the intricacies of short-term rental regulations. Every violation I could report, every review platform I could infiltrate. He even showed me how to track their booking calendar, to time my loudest parties for their check-in days. That's not the first time I've seen bruises on your brother, he said suddenly, nodding toward my security feed. Tyron was in their backyard smoking. His eye was still swollen. He probably deserved it, I said automatically, but something in my stomach twisted. Maybe. A commotion outside interrupted us. Through the cameras, we watched a young woman with pink hair setting up a ring light on the sidewalk between our houses. Is that Paisley Kent? Fabian asked. The TikTok influencer? Who? He pulled up her profile. Millions of followers, known for documenting neighborhood drama and property disputes. She was already recording, gesturing dramatically between my house and my parents. Should we stop her? Fabian asked. I smiled. No, let her film. The next morning, Paisley's video had gone viral. Rich tech CEO moves next door to parents who kicked her out. The comments were flooded with people taking sides, sharing their own family estrangement stories. My mother wasn't pleased. I watched through the cameras as she tried to confront Paisley, who just kept filming. This is private property, Mom's voice carried through my outdoor microphones. Actually, this is a public sidewalk, Paisley replied cheerfully. And your Airbnb business is public information. Speaking of which, do you have a permit for that? Mom retreated inside. Minutes later, their latest guests wheeled their suitcases out, phones raised to record everything. The comments would be brutal. Your next party's going to be interesting, Fabian said, scrolling through the video's engagement metrics. Half the internet wants an invitation. I was about to respond when movement on camera 3 caught my eye. Tyron, arguing with someone in a car parked down the street. The driver's face was hidden, but I could see Tyron's hands shaking as he passed something through the window. Freeze that frame, Fabian said sharply. Back up 10 seconds. I did. The car's license plate came into view. Fabian's expression darkened. I know that car. It belongs to Marcus, local loan shark. Bad news. Loan shark? My chest tightened. Tyron's gambling again? Or paying old debts? Fabian touched my arm gently. Nora, those bruises. Loan sharks don't send polite payment reminders. I watched the car drive away, leaving Tyron standing there, shoulders slumped. For a moment, he looked exactly like he had 12 years ago. Scared, desperate, trapped. I don't care, I said, but my voice wavered. He made his choices. Did he? Or did your parents make them for him? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A new review on my parents' Airbnb listing, posted by their recently departed guests. Lovely room, but drama. Host family clearly has issues. Daughter next door throws parties just to spite them. We love it, though. Brother seems sketchy. Saw him making suspicious exchanges. Don't feel safe. 2 5 stars. Within hours, 3 upcoming bookings canceled. Your revenge is working, Fabian said quietly. But are you sure it's aimed at the right people? I turned off the security feeds. You don't know what they did to me. No, but I see what's happening now. Your brother's in trouble. Your parents are losing income. And He gestured at my wall of screens. You're watching it all burn from your surveillance throne. They deserve it. Maybe. But revenge doesn't usually look like what we expect. He stood to leave. Just watch those security feeds carefully. You might see things you didn't plan on seeing. After he left, I pulled up the footage of Tyron and the loan shark, played it again, noticed how my brother's hands shook, how he kept looking over his shoulder, not at his house, but at mine. Like he was hoping I was watching, like he was trying to tell me something. My phone buzzed again. Another notification. Proud Momov 2 has reported your property for excessive noise and suspicious activity. I smiled despite myself. Some things never changed. But as I watched Tyron disappear back into that house, our house, I wondered what else had changed that I didn't know about yet. The city inspector arrived at 8 a.m. sharp, clipboard in hand. I watched through my cameras as my mother greeted him with her usual forced cheerfulness. Anonymous complaint, he said, holding up his tablet. Multiple violations reported. No permit for short-term rentals, possible code violations, unauthorized business operation in a residential zone. Mom's smile cracked. There must be some mistake. Ma'am, your Airbnb listing is public. Over 400 reviews. He stepped past her. I'll need to inspect the property. I sipped my coffee, watching the scene unfold on my wall of screens. The inspector found everything my anonymous tip had suggested. Outdated wiring, questionable plumbing, no fire escape from the upper floor. My old bedroom. My phone buzzed. A text from Athena. You watching the inspection live stream? Your mom's going viral again. I switched feeds to see Paisley recording from across the street, narrating dramatically. Day 7 of Rich Daughter versus Airbnb Parents. The Health Inspector Saga. The comments rolled in real time. That house looks so unsafe. Can't believe they kicked out their daughter for this. Someone call Gordon Ramsay. This is hotel hell material. A knock at my door interrupted my viewing. Dad stood there looking older than I remembered. Nora, he said quietly, we need to talk. I left him standing on the porch. So talk. This has to stop. The parties, the deliveries, the inspectors. Your mother's beside herself. Funny how she's only beside herself when it affects her income. Were your parents? No, I cut him off. You're Tyron's parents. I'm just the spare room you monetized. His face fell. That's not fair. Neither was making me sleep in the basement while protecting his gambling habit. Neither is watching him get beaten up by loan sharks while you pretend everything's fine. Dad's head snapped up. What did you say about loan sharks? Don't pretend you haven't noticed his bruises. Or is that another thing we're not talking about? Before he could respond, shouting erupted from next door. The inspector had found something in the basement. Through my security feed, I could see water pooling around the water heater, mold climbing the walls, the same walls I'd stared at for those few nights before I left. This is an immediate health hazard, the inspector declared. I'm shutting this operation down until these violations are addressed. Mom's voice carried across the yard. But we have guests arriving today. Not anymore, you don't. I turned back to Dad. Looks like you have bigger problems than my parties. Nora, please. His voice cracked. Whatever you're doing, we can't afford the repairs. We'll lose the house. Like I lost my home? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I stepped closer. I built myself from nothing after you chose him over me. I slept in my car, worked 3 jobs, earned my degree, and now you want mercy? A car door slammed. Through the cameras, I watched Tyron hurry toward the house, then freeze at the sight of the inspector's van. Dad followed my gaze. Your brother, he's trying. He's been clean for months. Clean? Is that what you call making payments to loan sharks? Something flickered across Dad's face. Fear? Recognition? But before he could respond, a new commotion erupted. One of the scheduled Airbnb guests, Kimberly, had arrived despite the shutdown. She was live streaming the whole thing. Paid $300 a night for this health hazard. Look at this mold. And the owners? They kicked out their own daughter to run this illegal hotel for their gambling addict son, who still lives here. Mom tried to intervene, but Kimberly was on a roll. This place is a shrine to toxic parenting. I'm calling my lawyer and my followers. Everyone needs to know about this shame show. The video was already gaining traction. Airbnb Parents was trending. Dad watched helplessly as their carefully maintained facade crumbled in real time. Happy now? He asked quietly. I looked at my screens, at Mom trying to damage control, at Kimberly's righteous anger, at Tyron standing frozen on the sidewalk. All the pieces of my revenge falling perfectly into place. So why didn't it feel like victory? You should go, I said. You have an inspection to fail. He turned to leave, then paused. Whatever you think of us, watch out for your brother. Please. Why? You never watched out for me. No, he said softly. We didn't. And maybe that's why He shook his head. Just watch the cameras, Nora. You might see what we were too blind to see. I watched him walk away, shoulders hunched under the weight of everything crumbling around him. Through the feeds, I could hear Mom arguing with the inspector, see Paisley documenting everything, watch Tyron slip away unnoticed. My phone buzzed with another notification. Trending. Bar Airbnb parents expose reveals dark side of family-run rentals. I'd wanted them to pay. Wanted them to feel as exposed and vulnerable as I had. But Dad's words echoed. Watch the cameras. What wasn't I seeing? The drone footage was grainy, but the audio was crystal clear. I'd launched it during another networking event, hoping to catch more ammunition for my campaign. Instead, I caught something else entirely. We should have sent Tyron to rehab instead of selling Nora's room. Mom's voice crackled through my speakers. She was in their backyard, arguing with Dad. He's just like your brother, Stuart. The same patterns, the same demons. I rewound the footage, played it again. My father's brother. The one we never talked about. Your Uncle James. Athena read from her laptop, scrolling through public records. Died 15 years ago. Cause of death. Gambling-related suicide. The pieces started clicking. Dad's strange warning. The way he always avoided casino billboards. How he'd flinch when Tyron came home late. There's more, Athena said. Your dad's family had a history of addiction. His father, his brother. It runs deep. My security system pinged. Movement in my parents' backyard. Tyron, pacing, on his phone. I told you I'd get the money, he was saying. Just give me until Friday. No, don't, please. The call ended. He slumped against the fence, hands shaking as he lit a cigarette. In the infrared camera's glow, his bruises looked almost black. My doorbell rang. Fabian stood there with a stack of papers. Found something interesting in the county records, he said, spreading documents across my kitchen counter. Your parents' house was almost foreclosed on 12 years ago, right around when you left. The gambling debt, I said. No. He pointed to a highlighted section. This was before that. There was a fraud investigation at your dad's workplace. Someone had been stealing money, small amounts over time. They traced it to your family's account. My stomach dropped. Tyron? The investigation was dropped suddenly. No charges filed. Fabian looked at me carefully. The timing matches when your brother started having gambling problems. A memory surfaced. Me, 18, desperate for college money after Dad lost his job. The company's accounting system had seemed so simple. Watch the cameras, Dad had said. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Back door now. Through my security feed, I saw Tyron standing at my back gate. I met him there. Up close, his bruises looked worse. You need to stop, he said, without preamble. Or what? You'll gamble away my room again? You don't understand what you're doing, what you're risking. Enlighten me. He glanced at my cameras. Turn them off. No. Fine. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I remembered from childhood. Remember when Dad lost his job? When you needed money for MIT? My heart stopped. How did you? Because I covered for you, Nora. The company knew someone was stealing. They were close to proving it was you. So He swallowed hard. I started going to casinos, made it look like I had a problem, like any missing money was me gambling it away. You're lying. Mom and Dad bought it because it fit their fears. Dad's family history, the addiction genes. Better their son be a gambling addict than their daughter be a thief. My legs felt weak. The $80,000 was real. By then I actually was gambling. Funny how pretending to have a problem can give you one. He laughed bitterly. But that first $20,000, that was protecting you. I don't believe you. Check your old journals, the ones in the basement. You wrote about it, about the company's accounting system, about taking loans you'd pay back later. My security system pinged. The demolition crew I'd hired was starting work on my parents' basement tomorrow. Why are you telling me this now? Because your revenge campaign is bringing attention we can't afford. Those loan sharks? They're not after gambling debts. They're after information about the fraud, about all of it. A car drove by slowly, the same one from before. Tyron stiffened. Just stop digging, he said quietly, before you expose things that'll hurt more than just Mom and Dad. He walked away, leaving me standing there as pieces of my carefully constructed revenge narrative crumbled around me. Inside, I pulled up the basement camera feed. There, behind the water heater, was a box of my old things, my journals. The truth was there, waiting in my own handwriting. My phone buzzed. A notification from the drone. Mom and Dad arguing again. We should have told her, Dad was saying, about James, about the addiction patterns, about why we were so scared for Tyron. And risk her finding out what really happened with the company money? Mom shot back. No, better she hate us for the room than... The audio cut out as they went inside. I stared at my wall of screens, at all the surveillance equipment I'd bought to expose their secrets, never imagining the biggest secret might be mine. The neighborhood beautification fundraiser was in full swing. My backyard buzzed with local influencers, real estate agents, and carefully selected Airbnb guests from my parents' past. Everyone who'd ever left them a bad review had received a personal invitation. Ready for the announcement? Fabian asked, adjusting his tie. I glanced at my phone, where my old journal entry glowed accusingly. Borrowed another $500 from the accounting system today, just until financial aid comes through. Nora? I switched off the phone. Let's do this. My parents stood awkwardly near the refreshment table, invited through a neighborhood association email they couldn't decline without seeming antisocial. Mom wore her church smile. Dad looked like he wanted to disappear. Tyron wasn't there. He hadn't come home last night. My cameras confirmed it. Welcome, everyone. I took the small stage we'd set up. I'm so glad you could join me in discussing the future of our beautiful neighborhood. The crowd quieted. Several phones raised to record. As many of you know, property values in this area have been affected by certain unofficial business operations. I smiled directly at my mother. Unlicensed rentals, code violations, that sort of thing. Mom's church smile cracked slightly. So today, I'm announcing my intention to purchase and renovate the problem properties. I pulled up a PowerPoint slide showing their house. Starting with this one, I'm offering $20,000 below market value, just to help the current owners move on to something more legitimate. The crowd murmured. Someone snickered. Paisley's ring light clicked on. You can't do this. Mom stepped forward, voice shaking. That's our home. Was our home, I corrected, before you turned it into a business. A failing business, according to recent inspections. Nora, please. Dad's voice cracked. Not like this. No. How should it be then? Should I sleep in the basement while we discuss terms? Or maybe we could list my current house on Airbnb, since that's your solution to everything. You don't understand, Mom started. I understand perfectly. I understand how you chose Tyron over me, how you protected him while erasing me, how you protected you. The words burst from Mom like she couldn't contain them anymore. The crowd went silent. What? We protected you. When the company was investigating, when they were close to pressing charges, tears streaked her perfect makeup. We had to make a choice. My heart pounded. Stop. Your brother came to us, said he'd take the blame, make it look like gambling. The company would drop the investigation if they thought the money went to casinos instead of... She looked around at the recording phones. instead of elsewhere. Mom, I warned. We thought if Tyron took the fall, you could keep your scholarship, your future. The gambling story would stay in the family, but fraud charges would have followed you forever. The crowd was dead silent now. Phones still recorded everything. So we committed, Dad said quietly, to the story, to protecting you both. You from charges, him from loan sharks. We just didn't expect me to hate you. My voice sounded strange in my ears. Didn't expect your little cover story to turn into a real addiction. We didn't expect any of it, Mom whispered. The loans he had to take to maintain the lie, the people he got involved with. By the time we realized how deep he was, that's why you kept him close, I said. Why you let him stay. Dad nodded. We couldn't protect you anymore. You were gone, but we could try to protect him. My carefully orchestrated humiliation was unraveling. The crowd watched like it was a tennis match, phones capturing every word. Your brother, Mom said, has been paying for your mistake for 12 years, and now you're here, in your expensive house, with your successful career, the career our sacrifice made possible, trying to destroy what's left of our family. The words hit like physical blows. Behind her, I saw a familiar car drive by slowly. The loan shark's car. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyron. Had to run. They're asking questions about the old fraud. Don't let Mom and Dad talk to anyone. Too late. I looked at the crowd, at their recording phones, at my parents' tears. I think that's enough for today. Thank you all for coming. People lingered, hungry for more drama, but Fabian and Athena smoothly began herding them out. Soon only my parents remained. Where's Tyron? Dad asked. Gone, I said, because of what I did, because I couldn't let go of a revenge that, I swallowed hard, that I might not have deserved. Nora, Mom stepped forward, reaching out, but I backed away. Don't. Just go home. Lock your doors. Don't talk to anyone about what was said here. Why? Because some debts. I thought of Tyron's bruises, of loan sharks circling our family's secrets. Some debts don't stay buried. They left quietly. I watched them through my cameras, walking slowly back to their house, back to the life they'd built on lies meant to protect me. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Got your brother. Want to talk about old company business? The revenge I'd planned had worked perfectly, just not the way I'd intended. 3 days. Tyron had been missing for 3 days. My security cameras caught nothing but shadows and silence from next door. Mom's perfect garden wilted. Dad's car hadn't moved. The text messages kept coming. Ready to talk about that company money? Your brother's very cooperative. Tick-tock. I sat in my surveillance room watching old footage. Tyron sneaking out. The bruises, the hushed conversations, all the signs I'd misread as guilt when they were really sacrifice. My doorbell rang. Dad stood there, looking like he hadn't slept in days. The police won't help, he said, walking past me. Missing persons report requires 48 hours, and we can't tell them about the loan sharks without explaining why. Without explaining what I did, I finished. He sank into my couch. Marcus called. Wants $50,000 by midnight or he starts breaking fingers. Marcus? The loan shark. The one Tyron's been paying to keep quiet about the fraud. About you. My security system pinged. A car pulling up next door. Through the cameras, I watched Mom rush out to meet a severe-looking woman in a business suit. Who's that? Dad's face went pale. Real estate agent. Your mother's... She's listing the house. What? Why? It's all we have left to sell. The Airbnb shut down. Our savings went to Tyron's previous payments. He looked at me. We have to get him back. My phone buzzed. A live stream notification. Selling the viral Airbnb house. Inside tour with exclusive drama details. Mom was leading the agent through their house, my old house, pointing out features with trembling hands. The comments rolled in. Karma for what they did to their daughter. Serves them right. That family is so toxic. They had no idea. I'd fed them a story of villainous parents and a golden child brother, when the truth was, I have the money, I said quietly. Dad looked up sharply. I have it. More than enough. I pulled up my banking app. I'll transfer it now. Nora, no, we can't let you. I did this. I cut him off. My theft, my revenge plan, my stupid need to make you all pay for protecting me. I laughed bitterly. I really showed you, didn't I? My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Nora. Marcus's voice was surprisingly pleasant. Ready to discuss old debts? Where's my brother? Safe. For now, bring 50,000 to the abandoned factory on River Street. 1 hour. Come alone. I'll need proof he's alive. A photo appeared on my phone. Tyron, tied to a chair, bruised but conscious. He was holding today's newspaper. 1 hour, Marcus repeated, and hung up. Dad started to speak, but I held up my hand, pulled up my security feeds, rewound through days of footage until, there, Tyron talking to Marcus in the car. But from this angle, I could see something I'd missed before. Tyron was holding his phone down, screen facing the car's underside. He was recording, I whispered, every meeting, every payment. He was gathering evidence. I switched to my cloud backup, dozens of audio files from my directional microphones, capturing conversations between Tyron and Marcus. Proof of extortion, of threats, of everything. Call the police, I told Dad. Tell them everything. About the fraud, about me, about Tyron. I'll send them the recordings. But your career is built on stolen money. Maybe it's time I paid for that. I grabbed my keys. I'm going to the factory. Nora, wait. But I was already moving. In my rearview mirror, I saw Mom standing in their driveway, watching me drive away. The real estate agent was still inside, probably filming everything for her social media. Let her. Let them all see. My phone buzzed with notifications. Breaking. Tech CEO confesses to fraud. Viral Airbnb family saga takes dark turn. Missing brother found in factory raid. The last one was from an hour in the future. I smiled grimly and pressed the accelerator. At the factory, Marcus waited with 2 thugs. Tyron sat between them, eyes swollen shut. The money? Marcus asked. I held up my phone. Better. Every conversation you've had with my brother for the past year. Every threat, every payment. Currently uploading to police servers. You're bluffing. Check Twitter. My confession's already trending. The police are on their way with enough evidence to bury all of us. I stepped forward. So here's the deal. Let him go. We all go down together. Keep him. You go down alone. Marcus's face hardened. You'd risk prison? For the brother who went to prison in his mind for 12 years to protect me? I met Tyron's good eye. Yes, sirens wailed in the distance. Your choice, Marcus, but make it fast. He nodded to his men. They cut Tyron loose. As police cars surrounded the building, as reporters gathered outside, as my carefully built life crumbled around me, Tyron gripped my arm. You didn't have to, he whispered. Yes, I said, watching Marcus raise his hands in surrender. I did. Sometimes revenge looks exactly like redemption. The judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom. Given the defendant's cooperation and voluntary confession, I'm sentencing Ms. Montgomery to 2 years probation and full restitution of the stolen funds. I exhaled. No jail time. Just a massive fine, a damaged reputation, and a viral story that would follow me forever. Fair enough. Marcus and his crew weren't so lucky. The evidence Tyron gathered sent them away for a long time. My brother sat in the back of the courtroom, still sporting fading bruises, nodding slightly as the sentences were read. Outside, reporters swarmed. Paisley's ring light bobbed above the crowd. "How does it feel to be the villain of your own revenge story?" someone shouted. "Actually," Tyron stepped forward, "she's not the villain. None of us are. We're just a family who tried to protect each other in all the wrong ways." Mom and Dad stood awkwardly to the side. The house sale had fallen through after everything went public. They were stuck with a decaying property, no Airbnb income, and a mountain of debt. "I'll pay it," I told them. "All of it. The restitution, the loans, everything." "We can't accept," Mom started. "Yes, you can, because this time we're doing it right. No secrets, no cover-ups, no sacrificial lambs." I looked at Tyron. Just truth. Back at my house, I started dismantling my wall of surveillance screens. Each camera that came down felt like letting go of another grudge. "Keep this one," Tyron said, pointing to the basement feed. "There's something you need to see." We went next door. The basement smell hit me first, mildew and memories. But instead of the old cot, there was something else, a wall of photos. Me at graduation, news articles about my company, printouts of my interviews. "Mom put these up after you left," Tyron said. "She'd come down here when things got bad. Talk to your pictures like you could hear her." I touched a photo, me receiving my first tech award. "She kept track of everything." "We all did. Dad has Google alerts for your name. I watched every interview you gave." He smiled sadly. "Guess we were all surveilling each other in our own ways." Footsteps on the stairs. Mom and Dad carrying boxes. "We're converting it," Dad said. "The basement. Into a proper room. No more cots. No more mildew." "For who?" "For family meetings," Mom said. If you want, both of you." I looked at the wall of photos, at my brother's healing bruises, at our parents' hopeful faces, at all the pieces of our broken family, finally in the open where we could see them clearly. "I have a better idea." The next day, construction crews arrived at both houses. Not to tear down, but to rebuild. To connect. "A shared garden," I explained, showing them the plans. "Between the properties. No more fences, no more surveillance. Just space to grow things together." "And the Airbnb?" Mom asked. "Will be legal this time, but not in my old room." I handed her the permit applications. "We'll convert the garage. My room goes back to being just that, a room. For when I visit." "You'd visit?" "If you'll have me. All of me. Not just the successful parts you put on the basement wall." Tyron picked up a shovel. "Well, this garden won't build itself. We worked together, tearing down the fence that had divided our houses. Paisley showed up with her ring light, but this time we invited her to plant flowers instead of film drama. The internet had opinions, of course, from revenge to reconciliation. Family repairs more than just their house. Tech CEO trades surveillance for sunflowers, but we weren't doing it for them anymore. That evening, sitting in the half-finished garden, Dad asked, was it worth it? The revenge plan? I watched the sunset paint our houses in matching colors. Not the way I planned it, but maybe the way it turned out. Because it failed. Because it succeeded at something better. Tyron emerged from the basement carrying my old journals. Found these while cleaning. Thought you might want them. I took them, feeling their weight. All my old anger, my pain, my carefully documented grievances, and beneath them, the truth we'd all tried to hide, that love, even twisted into painful shapes, was still love. Actually, I said, I think they belong in the garden. I ripped out the pages, handed them around. Perfect mulch for new growth. We planted my past between the houses, covering old words with fresh soil. Mom's tears fell like rain, Dad's hand shook as he patted down earth. Tyron's bruises seemed to fade a little in the dying light. They always said I was too cold, too calculating. Funny. Cold things don't burn bridges. They bury them. Under gardens, under truth, under the hope that something beautiful can grow from the ashes of revenge. I looked at my family, dirt-stained and damaged, but finally real. Sometimes the best surveillance is simply watching each other heal.